The human mind is like a lake. When it is calm and still, it reflects the true immensity of the sky, the silent dance of the stars, the passing of a single cloud. But when it is disturbed, churned by the winds of thought and emotion, it can see nothing but its own shattered waves, a distorted reflection of a world that seems chaotic and hostile. What if the storm you believe you are fighting is not the weather around you, but the way you are sailing the ship within you? What if the cage you feel trapped in has no bars, except for the ones you have forged in the furnace of your own mind? You are living in an age of deafening noise, a constant barrage of information, of expectation, of comparison. Your pockets are full, but your spirit is empty. You are connected to 1,000 people on a screen, yet you have never felt more alone. There is a quiet, persistent hum of anxiety beneath the surface of everything you do, a sense of running from something, or running towards something, without ever knowing what it is. You perform your role so well, in your career, in your family, in your social circles, that you have forgotten who you are when the curtain falls. You feel like a ghost in the machine of your own life, watching your hands move, hearing your voice speak, but feeling a profound disconnect from the person living it. This is not a lecture. This is not another list of things you must do to be happy. This is an invitation to step out of the storm and into the quiet sanctuary that has always been waiting for you, right here, within. This is a journey home, to the silent, knowing presence at your core. Together, we will walk into this inner landscape, not to fight the demons, but to understand the shadows they cast. And in the heart of this stillness, you will discover an incantation, a timeless truth so simple, yet so powerful, that it holds the key to dissolving the very architecture of your suffering. The journey begins now. Take a breath, and let us begin. We begin by acknowledging a fundamental feeling, a truth that hums beneath the surface of your days, the feeling of being contained. It is a subtle constriction, a sense that the space you inhabit is smaller than the space you are meant for. You move through your life, and yet you feel a drag, a weight, as if you are carrying an invisible structure on your back. You may have called it by many names: your personality, your baggage, your history, your fate. But today, let us call it what it is: a cage, a beautifully intricate, painfully familiar cage, and every cage has a builder. So the first, most important question on this journey is not how to escape, but who is the architect? And the answer is both shocking and liberating. The architect is you, or more precisely, a part of you that you have mistaken for the whole of you. Let us call this architect the ego. Do not think of the ego as an enemy. To declare war on it is to declare war on yourself, to create yet another internal conflict that will only strengthen the bars of the cage. The ego is not malicious. It is a master craftsman, a survival mechanism born of necessity. When you were a child, you needed to build an identity to navigate the world. The ego was the builder. It took a piece of memory here, a word of praise there. It took a childhood wound, a moment of shame, a great success, a stinging failure. It collected roles: son, daughter, friend, student. It gathered labels: smart, shy, artistic, anxious. With these scattered materials, it began to build a coherent structure, a story, the story of me. This structure was meant to be a temporary shelter, a scaffold from which the real you could grow. But for most of us, something happened. We fell in love with the scaffold. We started decorating it, polishing its bars, reinforcing its walls. We mistook the shelter for our home. And then, we forgot the sky it was hiding. The ego's primary function is to create separation. It says, "This is me, and that is not me." It draws lines in the sand of existence. I am this body, not that one. I have these thoughts, not yours. My pain is unique. This separation gives it a sense of identity, a sense of control in a vast and mysterious universe. Its greatest fear is annihilation, the dissolution of its carefully constructed self. So it works tirelessly, day and night, to maintain and defend its creation. It is the voice in your head that narrates your life, the constant commentator. It is the one that replays past grievances, rehearses future conversations, and judges every present moment against an impossible standard. It is the source of the story that you are not good enough, or that you are better than others. Both are two sides of the same coin, minted in the ego's currency of comparison. It builds the cage not to imprison you, but to protect its own existence. And your suffering is the sound of your soul rattling the bars, yearning for the boundless space it remembers. Look closely at the architecture of your cage. The bars are forged from your most deeply held beliefs. Beliefs you may not even know you have. I must work hard to be worthy of love. I cannot trust anyone. The world is a dangerous place. I will be happy when I achieve that goal, find that partner, make that money. These are not truths. They are bars. They are limitations you have accepted as reality. The floor of your cage is the solid ground of the past, a landscape you endlessly walk over, reliving every mistake, cherishing every wound, because at least it is familiar. The ceiling is the mirage of the future, a place of anxious hope and fearful projection, a sky made of glass that you can see through but never reach. And what is the lock on the door? The lock is the most simple and powerful mechanism of all. It is the belief that you are the cage, the total and complete identification with the structure. When a thought of fear arises, you say, I am afraid. When a feeling of sadness washes over you, you say, I am sad. When the story of failure plays, you say, I am a failure. With these three words, I am that, you turn the key, locking yourself inside. And so, here is the first whisper of the true incantation, the first ray of light that can dissolve the iron of this prison. You are not the story you tell yourself. You are not the beliefs that form the bars, nor the past that forms the floor. You are not the emotions that color the air inside the cage. You are not the architect. You are the space in which the entire cage appears. You are the silent, unchangeable awareness that witnesses the architect at his work. The moment you can observe a thought, you prove that you are not that thought. The thinker is a part of the play, but you are the silent audience. The awareness that witnesses is of a different dimension than that which it witnesses. It is timeless, it is formless, it is peace itself. This is not just a beautiful idea, it is a practical tool of liberation. The practice begins here. For the next few moments, or for 5 minutes today, simply watch. Sit quietly and watch the mind. Do not try to stop it. Do not judge it as good or bad. Simply observe its frantic activity as you would observe traffic on a street or clouds moving in the sky. A thought about work appears. See it. A memory from childhood surfaces. Notice it. A wave of anxiety tightens your chest. Feel the physical sensation and observe it. Do not climb into the car of thought and drive away with it. Do not try to disperse the cloud, just watch. Be the sky. At first, this will feel difficult. The habit of a lifetime is to be instantly swept away by every thought and feeling. But with gentle, patient practice, something miraculous happens. A space begins to open up, a gap between the observer and the observed. This space is your freedom. To aid this practice, take a piece of paper and write down the stories your mind tells you most often. The recurring narratives. The story that I am not loved. The story that I will always be alone. The story that I am not capable. Seeing these stories written down outside of you helps you to objectify them. They are no longer you. They are just stories, words on a page, energies that have been moving through you. They are the blueprints of the architect, exposed to the light. When you begin this work, you see the architect for what he is, a frightened master builder, desperately trying to maintain a structure that no longer serves you. You feel the conflict within you, the part that wants to tear down the walls and run into the wild, open field of the unknown, and the part that clings to the familiar misery of the cage, because at least it is known. This is the friction of growth. Do not be discouraged by it. Simply observe it. Observe the desire for freedom. Observe the fear of it. You are the awareness holding both. You are the space that can contain this sacred conflict. As you observe, you begin to see the primary material the architect uses for his every creation, the very substance he mixes into the mortar and forges into the bars. It is an invisible, powerful, and relentless force. It is the raw material of every prison of the mind. That material is time. The architect of your cage has been revealed. Now we must look at the material it uses, the invisible substance from which every bar and every wall is made. It is so pervasive, so fundamental to your experience of reality, that you have never thought to question it. This material is time, not the time of clocks and calendars, which is a useful convention for navigating the world, but a different kind of time, psychological time. The heavy burden of the past that you carry on your back, and the anxious projection of the future that you push before you like a shield. This psychological time is the greatest source of human suffering. To live in it is to be a ghost, haunting the graveyards of memory and the barren landscapes of what if. Life itself is a flowing river, but the ego convinces you to freeze it, to hack out a chunk of ice labeled the past and another labeled the future, and to ignore the living water that is the present moment. The freedom we seek is not freedom in time, but freedom from time. Let us first look at the past. The past does not exist. It has no reality except in your mind. The events of yesterday, of last year, of your childhood are gone. They are like the trail of smoke from a fire that has long since gone out. You cannot grasp smoke. You cannot hold it. Yet, you allow the mind to convince you that this smoke is a solid chain, binding you to who you once were. The architect uses this smoke to build the heaviest rooms in your cage, the room of regret, where you are forced to rewatch your mistakes on an endless loop, the room of resentment, where you keep others imprisoned in your mind for their past actions, not realizing that you are the jailer, and you are also the one serving the life sentence. The room of guilt, where a past action becomes a permanent brand on your identity. And even the gilded room of nostalgia, where you mourn a beautiful past, believing your best days are behind you, which is just another way of saying that the present is not good enough. All of these states require you to continuously resurrect the past in the present moment. It is an act of immense, though unconscious, effort. You must actively gather the kindling of memory, strike the match of thought, and fan the flames of emotion to keep the past alive. Without your constant attention, the past has no power. It is inert. It is dead. The pain you feel is not from the event that happened 10 years ago. The pain you feel is from the memory you are choosing to activate, the story you are telling yourself right now. The wound is not the original cut. The wound is the act of repeatedly sticking your finger in it. The tyranny of the past is the belief that because something happened, it defines you forever. That because you were a victim, you must always be a victim. That because you failed, you are a failure. This is the ego's grand illusion. It chains you to an identity built on old stories because it is afraid of the boundless, undefined freedom of who you could be, right now, without them. Then, there is the other phantom, the mirage that shimmers on the horizon, the future. The future also does not exist. It is a projection, an unformed mist of infinite possibilities. Yet, the mind treats it as a certain reality, and almost always a threatening one. This is the realm of anxiety. Anxiety is the experience of suffering for something that has not happened, and most likely never will. The architect of the cage is a master of creating terrifying futures. It constructs endless scenarios of loss, of failure, of sickness, of humiliation. It asks, what if, over and over again. What if I lose my job? What if they leave me? What if I get sick? Each question is another bar added to the front of your cage, preventing you from moving forward. This obsession with the future also takes a more subtle, socially acceptable form. The belief that your salvation lies ahead. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be at peace when the children are grown. My life will begin when I find the right partner. This turns the present moment into a mere stepping stone, a means to an end. You are constantly sacrificing the now for a then that never arrives in the way you imagine. Because when then arrives, the mind, in its habitual state, will already have created a new future to strive for. The carrot will always be dangling just out of reach. This is the tyranny of the future. It is a thief that steals the only thing you ever truly have, this present moment. It robs you of your life's vitality by convincing you to live in a fantasy. Whether that fantasy is a nightmare of fear or a daydream of hope, the result is the same. You are not here. You are absent from your own life. So where does life happen? Where can peace be found? Where does your true power lie? It is not in analyzing the smoke of the past or navigating the mist of the future. It is here, now, in this very moment. I ask you to perform a simple experiment. For just a second, bring your entire attention to this moment. Forget who you were. Forget who you think you need to become. Just be here. Feel the weight of your body. Hear the sound of my voice. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest. In this moment, stripped of all stories, is there a problem? In the simplicity of pure presence, suffering cannot survive. Suffering needs time. It needs the past for regret and the future for anxiety. The present moment is its poison. The now is a sanctuary. It is a refuge that is always available to you, no matter how great the storm of your thoughts. It is the only point of access to the timeless dimension of your being. True intelligence, true creativity, true love, and true peace can only arise from the stillness of the present moment. Any action taken from a place of anxiety or resentment will only create more of the same. Any action taken from the clarity of the now will be aligned with the flow of life itself. This is the core message. Your freedom is not a destination you will arrive at in the future. It is a reality you can access right now by withdrawing your attention from the illusions of time. How? You anchor yourself. You anchor your awareness so firmly in the now that the mind's gravitational pull into past and future begins to weaken. You do not fight the mind, you simply shift your focus. Anchor yourself in your senses. As you listen to these words, can you feel the physical points of contact your body is making with the surface it rests on? Can you feel the subtle field of energy, of aliveness, in your hands? Can you hear the sounds around you without labeling them? The hum of a machine, a distant voice, the silence between the sounds. Each act of sensory perception is a thread that pulls you out of the labyrinth of thought and into the reality of the present. The mind's momentum is strong. It has been traveling in time for decades, and it will not stop overnight. It will continue to pull you away, back into old stories and future worries. To remain in the sanctuary of the now, you need an anchor that is more reliable than passing sounds or feelings. You need an anchor that is with you from the moment of your birth to the moment of your death, a constant, rhythmic companion. You need a bridge between your formless awareness and your physical body. That anchor, that sacred bridge, is your breath. We have established the prison of psychological time and the sanctuary of the present moment. But the mind is a powerful current, and it will try to pull you back into the familiar eddies of regret and anxiety. To stay in the now, you need an anchor, not a metaphorical anchor, but a physical, tangible one that is with you at all times. This anchor is your breath. It may seem too simple, too obvious. We take over 20,000 breaths a day, and we pay attention to almost none of them. We dismiss the breath as a mere biological function, a mundane mechanism for survival. But this is like living by the ocean and seeing only the surface, never suspecting the vast, mysterious depths below. Your breath is the most profound and immediate tool you have for transformation. It is the bridge. It is the sacred link between the world you can see and the world you can feel, between your conscious mind and your unconscious body. It is the thread that stitches your soul to your physical form. To ignore the breath is to ignore the most intimate connection you have to life itself. For most of your life, your breath has been an unconscious mirror of your inner state. Think about it. When a sudden fear grips you, your breath catches in your throat. You hold it, as if freezing time will avert the danger. When anger flashes through you, your breath becomes short, rapid, and fiery, fanning the flames of your rage. When you are lost in deep concentration, your breath becomes almost imperceptible, shallow, and still. And in moments of profound peace or after making love, your breath becomes slow, deep, and rhythmic, like a gentle tide. The breath does not lie. While your mind can construct elaborate stories of being calm when you are actually anxious, or being fine when you are actually grieving, your breath tells the unfiltered truth of your emotional state in every moment. It is the most honest messenger you have. The first step, then, is not to change the breath, but simply to become acquainted with it, to listen to its wisdom, to honor the truth it is telling you about yourself. The true act of transformation begins when you shift from being breathed unconsciously to breathing consciously. This is the act of taking hold of the anchor, and it is here that you will meet your first and most persistent form of resistance. As you decide to sit and focus on the simple sensation of air entering your nostrils, moving down into your lungs, and then leaving your body, the mind will rebel. The ego, the architect of your cage, thrives on complexity and drama. The simplicity of the breath is a threat to its very existence. It will begin to whisper, and then to shout, "This is boring. This is a waste of time. You have real problems to solve. You need to be thinking, planning, worrying. What is the point of this? Nothing is happening." This is the internal conflict you will face. The ego's frantic need for stimulation versus the soul's deep yearning for stillness. You must understand that this resistance, this boredom, this impatience is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that the practice is working. You are withdrawing your energy from the noisy, chaotic thought stream that the ego feeds on, and the ego is starting to starve. It is fighting for its survival. Do not fight back. Do not argue with the thoughts. Simply notice them, acknowledge them as the ego's protest, and gently, patiently, return your attention to the breath, again and again and again. Every time you return your attention to the breath, you are performing an act of profound power. You are reclaiming your sovereignty. You are choosing where to place the spotlight of your consciousness. You are no longer a slave to every random thought that flashes through your mind. You are the master, choosing to rest in the quiet, life-giving rhythm of your own body. The breath is your portable sanctuary. You can be in a crowded room, in a stressful meeting, in a moment of panic, and you can secretly return to your breath. No one needs to know. It is your private anchor to the present moment. It is your home, and you can return home whenever you choose, with a single conscious inhalation. Imagine the breath as the tide of a great inner ocean. With every inhalation, a clean, life-giving wave washes onto the shore of your mind. With every exhalation, the wave recedes, pulling with it the debris of anxious thoughts, the residue of old conversations, the scattered remnants of worry. Inhale, you are nourished. Exhale, you are cleansed. In this simple, repetitive rhythm, there is a deep purification. You are not fighting your thoughts. You are simply washing the shores of your mind so clean that they have nowhere to land. You are shifting from the turbulent world of thinking to the grounded world of feeling. You cannot think about the breath and feel it at the same time. By choosing to feel it, you are short-circuiting the compulsive mind. Let this not be an abstract idea. Let us make it real, right now. This is a practical tool, an act of grace you can give yourself at any time. Let us practice a simple, calming breath. You can close your eyes if it feels comfortable. Now, gently inhale through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, hold the breath at the top for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, Exhale slowly, gently, through your mouth or nose for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do that again. Inhale, feeling your belly expand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. A moment of stillness. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale fully, letting go of everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By making the exhalation longer than the inhalation, you are sending a powerful signal to your nervous system. You are activating the parasympathetic response, the body's innate system of rest and digest. You are telling every cell in your body that you are safe. This is not a chore. This is an act of love. It is the most fundamental way of honoring the life that is flowing through you. Your breath is the most faithful reminder you have that you are alive. It has been with you every second of every day. It asks for nothing, and it gives you everything. To return to it is to return to the source. As you become more comfortable resting your attention here, on this gentle bridge of breath, something new will begin to emerge. At first, your attention will be on the flow of air itself. But as you stay with it, you will start to notice the subtleties. You will notice the infinitesimal pause at the peak of the inhalation, a moment of fullness. And more importantly, you will notice the pause at the very end of the exhalation before the next breath begins, a moment of emptiness, of stillness, of peace. In this pause, for a fraction of a second, the thinking mind stops. It is a gap, a clearing in the dense forest of your thoughts. This gap has always been there, but your mind was moving too fast to notice it. The breath, your faithful bridge, has not created this space. It has simply slowed you down enough to perceive it. This space, this silent clearing, is the gateway to a much deeper dimension of your being. It is the destination that the bridge was always leading to. It is the entrance to the sacred silence. The bridge of the breath has led you here, to a quiet clearing in the dense forest of your mind. It has shown you the pause, the gap between the end of one thought and the beginning of the next. At first, this gap may seem like nothing, a fleeting moment of emptiness, but it is the most important discovery you can make on this inner journey. This gap is not empty. It is full. It is overflowing with the presence of silence. This is not the mere absence of noise. It is a living, intelligent, and deeply healing quality of consciousness itself. And yet, for most of us, this silence is terrifying. We have become so accustomed to the perpetual noise of our own minds that silence feels like a void. The ego, the architect of your cage, is the master of noise. It abhors a vacuum. It will fill every moment of potential quiet with chatter, with planning, with worrying, with replaying, with judging. It does this because in the deep, resonant silence, the ego cannot exist. The story of me dissolves, and so we run from it. We turn on the television, we scroll through our phones, we fill our ears with music and podcasts, all in a desperate attempt to avoid confronting the profound stillness that lies just beneath the surface of our own awareness. What are you so afraid you will find in the quiet? Let us look at the nature of this inner noise. It is a form of static, a constant hum of compulsive thinking that overlays every experience. You look at a sunset, and instead of simply seeing it, the mind immediately begins to commentate. Oh, that's beautiful. I should take a picture. I wonder if it will be this nice tomorrow. The last sunset I saw wasn't this good. The direct experience is lost, replaced by a second-hand, thought-based interpretation. You are having a conversation, and while the other person is speaking, you are not truly listening. You are busy formulating your reply, judging their words, or thinking about something else entirely. This inner narrator never rests. It is the voice of the architect, constantly reinforcing the walls of the cage, reminding you of who you are based on your past and who you should be in the future. It is a survival mechanism that has run rampant, a tool that has taken over its master. The noise of the mind creates a buffer between you and life. It prevents you from truly touching the present moment. You are experiencing your thoughts about life, not life itself. This static is so constant that you have mistaken it for the signal. You have come to believe that you are the voice in your head. This is why, when you first make a genuine attempt to be silent, you are met with such fierce internal resistance. The moment you sit down with the intention of being quiet, the mind seems to get louder, not quieter. A tidal wave of forgotten worries, random thoughts, and physical discomforts rises to the surface. You will feel a powerful urge to get up, to do something, anything, to escape this inner chaos. This is the internal conflict in its rawest form. Your soul craves the peace of silence, but your ego, addicted to the drug of thought, begins to experience withdrawal. It panics. It creates imaginary emergencies. You forgot to send that email. You need to plan dinner. Is that a strange pain in your knee? It will do anything to pull your attention back into its world of noise and distraction. It is crucial that you understand this process. This restlessness is not you. It is the conditioned mind's panicked reaction to losing its grip. Do not judge yourself for it. Do not believe that you are bad at meditation or incapable of being quiet. Instead, see this resistance for what it is, a sign of progress. It is the friction that precedes a great shift. You are gently challenging a lifetime of conditioning, and the system is pushing back. Your task is not to defeat this resistance, but to be the calm, unwavering space in which it is allowed to happen. Beyond this wall of resistance lies the sacred ground. The silence you seek is not an achievement, it is your nature. You do not need to create it, you only need to uncover it. It is already here, underneath the noise. It has always been here. Imagine that your thoughts and emotions are clouds drifting across the sky. Some are light and fluffy, some are dark and menacing. You have spent your entire life chasing the clouds, identifying with them, believing you are them. When a dark cloud appears, you say, "I am sad." When a stormy cloud appears, you say, "I am angry." The practice of silence is the practice of shifting your identity from the cloud to the sky. The sky does not cling to the clouds. It does not fight them. It does not wish for one type of cloud over another. It is the vast, open, silent space that allows all clouds to come and go. The sky is never harmed by the storm. It is never stained by the darkest cloud. Its essential nature of clear, open space remains untouched. You are the sky. Your thoughts are just the weather of the mind. This is the power of silence. It is the ultimate perspective shift. In silence, you disidentify from the small, fragile, thought-based self, and you begin to sense the vast, peaceful, eternal dimension of your being. All true wisdom is born from silence. All great art, all flashes of inspiration, all profound insights do not come from the chattering mind. They emerge from the space between thoughts. When the mind is quiet, you can finally hear the subtle whispers of your intuition, the deep intelligence of your body, the voice of your soul. A mind full of noise is like a lake with a turbulent surface. It can only reflect its own agitation. A mind that has settled into silence is like a still, clear lake. It can perfectly reflect the truth of the moon and the stars. The answers you seek are not in more thinking. They are in less thinking. They are waiting for you in the stillness. Let us put this into practice. It is the simplest and perhaps most challenging practice of all. Once a day, for just 5 minutes, give yourself the gift of silence. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. Sit comfortably, set a timer, and then do nothing. Do not try to meditate. Do not recite a mantra. Do not try to have no thoughts. The instruction is simply this: listen to the silence. Let your primary object of attention be the silence in the room, the silence behind all the small sounds. When thoughts arise, as they will, see them for what they are, just noise, just clouds passing through the vast sky of the silence you are listening to. Do not follow them, do not engage with them. Let them be, and keep your attention gently resting on the background of silence. The core message is this: you are not the noise in your head. You are the silence that is aware of the noise. You are the stillness that perceives the movement. When you learn to rest in this silent awareness, your entire relationship with your mind begins to change. You are no longer a prisoner trapped within its walls. You are no longer tossed about by every wave of emotion or gust of thought. A distance is created. You can watch the mind's drama unfold without being a character in it. From this silent, spacious perspective, a new sense of self begins to emerge. It is not a self made of thoughts, memories, and labels. It is a self that is simply presence, awareness. This presence has a name. It is the Watcher. From the sacred silence, something begins to stir. It is not a thought. It is not an emotion. It is a presence. The presence that was aware of the silence itself. This is the dawning of a new consciousness within you. It has been there all along, dormant, waiting beneath the noise of the personality. We will give it a name so that we may speak of it, but know that it is ultimately nameless, formless, and eternal. Let us call it the Watcher, the silent observer, the witness. Its rise is not a dramatic event, but a quiet, steady sunrise within you. It is the beginning of waking up from the dream of who you thought you were and remembering who you have always been. The Watcher is the part of you that is not caught in the drama, the part that is free. To understand the Watcher, you must first understand what it is not. It is not the thinker. For your entire life, you have been identified with the endless stream of thoughts in your head. You have believed that you are the voice that comments, judges, fears, and desires. But ask yourself this: if you are the one who is thinking, then who is the one that is aware that you are thinking? Who hears the thought? The thought itself cannot hear itself. There must be a listening presence, an awareness in which the thought appears. That awareness is the Watcher. Imagine you are in a cinema. The film playing on the screen is the content of your mind, your thoughts, your memories, your emotions. It might be a tragedy, a comedy, a thriller. For your whole life, you have been so lost in the film that you have forgotten you are sitting in the theater. You have believed you are the character on the screen, feeling their pain, celebrating their victories. The rise of the Watcher is the moment you lean back in your seat and realize, I am not the story. I am the one watching the story. More than that, you are the screen upon which the story is projected, and even the silent light that makes the projection possible. Without the screen of your awareness, no thought or emotion could even be experienced. This is the most profound shift in identity you can make, and it begins with a subtle change in your internal language. Your entire life, when a feeling of sadness arose, the conditioned response was to say, I am sad. In that simple statement, you fuse your entire identity with a passing emotion. You become the sadness. The sadness is you. There is no space. This is the state of suffering. The Watcher introduces a space. From the perspective of the Watcher, the inner monologue changes. Instead of, I am sad, it becomes, I am aware of a feeling of sadness arising within me. Can you feel the immense difference? In the first statement, you are the emotion. In the second, you are the awareness that contains the emotion. Sadness is an event that is happening within your field of awareness, but it is not the totality of who you are. You are the space in which the sadness is allowed to be. This is the practice of disidentification. It is the key that unlocks the door of the cage from the inside. What are the qualities of this Watcher? Unlike the thinker, which is restless, judgmental, and biased, the Watcher is utterly still. It is impartial. It does not take sides. It does not prefer a happy thought over a sad thought, any more than the sky prefers a white cloud over a gray one. It simply allows them all to be. The Watcher is unconditionally compassionate. It provides a safe, loving space for your deepest wounds and darkest fears to come to the surface without judgment. The thinker says, I should not feel this anger. It is wrong. The Watcher says, anger is present. I feel its heat in my body. It is welcome here. The Watcher, is like a great, deep ocean. The surface of the ocean can be whipped into a frenzy by the winds of life. There can be huge waves of grief, choppy currents of anxiety, violent storms of rage. But a few feet below the surface, the ocean is always still. The thinker lives on the turbulent surface. The watcher is the silent, peaceful depth. You are not the waves. You are the entire ocean. The invitation is to begin identifying with this depth rather than the surface. Let us use another metaphor. The watcher is like a lighthouse built on a foundation of solid rock. Your emotions and thoughts are the stormy sea crashing against it. For years, you have been identified with the waves, feeling tossed and broken by the storm. Now, you are learning to be the lighthouse. You stand firm, rooted in the stillness of your own presence. From your lamp, you shine the steady, unwavering light of your awareness onto the storm. The light does not try to stop the waves. It does not judge the storm. It simply illuminates it. In this illumination, you can navigate the storm without being destroyed by it. You see the waves of emotion for what they are, temporary surges of energy that arise and pass away. They are not you. This is the practice. When a strong emotion arises, the gravitational pull of habit will try to suck you back into it, to make you become it once more. The feeling of anger will surge, and the mind will immediately generate a story to justify it, to fuel it. This is the moment of choice. This is where you practice being the lighthouse. Instead of getting lost in the story of why you are angry, you bring your attention to the raw energy of the emotion itself, as a physical sensation in your body, and you label it from the calm perspective of the watcher. Ah, this is anger. I feel a tightness in my jaw. I feel heat in my chest. I am observing the energy of anger as it moves through my body. This simple act of naming and observing creates the crucial space. You are no longer the anger. You are the loving awareness holding the anger. This is not cold detachment. It is the deepest form of intimacy with your own experience. You are no longer running from yourself. You are finally turning to face yourself with courage and compassion. This is the great secret, the core message of this awakening. The moment you start observing the thinker, a higher level of consciousness is activated. You are no longer trapped in the small, anxious, egoic self. You are accessing the vast, peaceful intelligence of consciousness itself. This is not about becoming an unfeeling robot. It is the opposite. When you are no longer afraid of your emotions, when you no longer identify with them, you can allow yourself to feel them much more deeply and purely. You can allow a wave of grief to wash through you completely, without the story of poor me that the ego adds on top. The pure emotion passes through you cleanly, and it is cleansed. It is only when we resist and suppress emotions and add mental stories to them that they get stuck and become suffering. The watcher allows everything to flow, and this reveals the most essential quality of the watcher, the very essence of its power. The watcher does not resist anything. It does not fight with reality. It does not argue with what is. The light from the lighthouse does not try to push the waves away. It simply bathes them in its accepting glow. This profound state of non-resistance, this total and unconditional allowing of the present moment as it is, has a name. It is the gentle, yet unshakable power of surrender. The watcher has risen within you, a silent, impartial presence. And in its steady gaze, you have discovered its most essential quality. It does not resist what it sees. It allows everything to be. This quality of non-resistance, of profound allowance, is perhaps the most direct path to peace. We will give it a name that the ego finds deeply uncomfortable. That name is surrender. Before your mind recoils, before it equates this word with weakness, defeat, or giving up, let us pause. We must redefine it. The surrender we speak of is not the surrender of a defeated army on a battlefield. It is the surrender of a master sailor to the power of the wind, using its force not to fight it, but to guide the ship home. It is the surrender of the willow tree to the storm, bending so that it does not break. This surrender is not passivity. It is the highest form of wisdom and strength. It is an active, courageous, and conscious alignment with the flow of life itself. To understand the power of surrender, you must first understand the anatomy of your own suffering. The root of all inner turmoil, without exception, is resistance. Resistance is the inner no to what is. It is the silent, or sometimes very loud, argument with reality. You are stuck in traffic, and the mind screams, "This shouldn't be happening, I'm going to be late." A loved one criticizes you, and the mind insists, "They have no right, it's not fair." It begins to rain on the day of your outdoor event, and the mind laments, "This always happens to me." The day is ruined. In each case, the situation itself is neutral. Traffic is traffic. Words are words. Rain is rain. The suffering is not created by the event, but by your mental and emotional resistance to the event. This internal no creates a state of friction, a grinding tension between your desire for how things should be and the simple reality of how things are. This friction is what you experience as stress, anger, anxiety, and despair. It is an enormous and utterly pointless expenditure of your life force. There is a universal law of consciousness that says, what you resist persists. When you resist a thought, you give it power. When you fight an emotion, you embed it deeper into your psyche. When you struggle against a life situation, you become entangled in its negative energy. Your resistance is a form of fuel. It feeds the very thing you are trying to eliminate. Imagine you have fallen into quicksand. The instinct is to struggle, to thrash about wildly. But this very struggle is what pulls you under faster. The only way to survive is to relax, to spread your weight, to become still and surrender to the nature of the situation. Your life is no different. Your resistance to the difficult moments is the thrashing that pulls you deeper into suffering. Surrender is the act of relaxing into the reality of the moment, and it is from that stillness that intelligent action can arise. Why does the ego resist so fiercely? Because the ego's entire identity is built upon a foundation of control and judgment. It has a rigid set of rules about how life, other people, and you yourself should operate. When reality violates these rules, the ego perceives it as a personal attack. Its sense of self is threatened, and so, it declares war on what is. This is a war it can never win. Reality is always, and without exception, going to be exactly what it is in this moment. You can spend a lifetime arguing with it, and you will only exhaust yourself. You are like a small child throwing a tantrum because the ocean is wet and the sun is hot. The ocean does not care. The sun does not care. Your tantrum only hurts you. Surrender is the moment of maturity when you finally stop the tantrum. It is the deep, cellular realization that fighting reality is a form of insanity. It is the act of laying down your arms in a war you have been waging only against yourself. So what does it feel like to surrender? It is a conscious inner yielding. It is a simple, profound yes to the present moment. This yes does not mean you like the situation. It does not mean you condone it or want it to continue. It simply means you stop arguing with the fact that it is currently happening. If you are feeling pain, the yes means acknowledging, okay, pain is here now. If you are feeling heartbroken, the yes means, this is the reality of my heart in this moment. If you are facing a financial crisis, the yes means, this is the situation as it stands, right now. In that moment of saying yes, a space opens up. The tension of resistance dissolves. The mind, which was frantically spinning stories of blame and victimhood, becomes quiet. And in that quiet, you are no longer a victim of the situation. You are the spacious awareness in which the situation is unfolding. Think of an Aikido master. When an attacker lunges with great force, the master does not meet force with rigid force. That would be a crude and inefficient struggle. Instead, the master yields, moves with the attacker's energy, blends with it, and redirects it, neutralizing the threat with minimal effort. Surrender is this kind of martial art for the soul. Life lunges at you with a difficult situation. Instead of bracing for impact and resisting, you yield internally. You say yes to the energy of the moment. You allow it to be as it is. By doing this, you are no longer in conflict with it. You can now act from a place of clarity and power, not from a place of reactive fear or anger. Think also of water. It is the softest, most yielding of all substances, yet it can wear away the hardest rock. It does not do this through brute force, but through persistent, gentle allowance. It flows around every obstacle. Surrender is the practice of becoming like water. This is a practice for your real life. The next time you feel that familiar inner tightening frustration, impatience, anger, use it as an alarm bell. It is the signal of resistance. In that moment, pause. Ask yourself this simple question: what am I resisting right now? Do not look for a complex psychological answer. Just notice the raw feeling of no in your body. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders hunched? Is your stomach in a knot? This is the physical signature of resistance. Now, take a conscious breath, and as you exhale, intentionally soften that part of your body. Let go of the clenching. Let go of the inner armor. Physically, consciously, let go of the no. In its place, simply allow the unpleasant feeling or situation to exist just for this moment, without needing it to be different. When you stop wasting your energy fighting the present moment, a remarkable thing happens. That energy becomes available. You are no longer focused on the story about the feeling. You can now turn your attention to the feeling itself. You have stopped fighting the wave. You have surrendered to the fact that it is here. You are now free to experience its raw energy, to feel its texture and its movement. You are now ready to learn not just how to survive the waves of life, but how to ride them. You have laid down your weapons. In the quiet space of surrender, the war with reality has ended. And what remains in the silence of this ceasefire? What is left when you are no longer fueling the fire of resistance? What is left is pure energy. You feel it in your body, a vibration, a current, a sensation. This energy is emotion. For too long, you have misunderstood what emotion is. The very word itself holds the key. It is energy in motion, emotion. It is not good or bad. It is not right or wrong. It is simply the energetic weather pattern of your inner world. Grief is a slow, heavy rain. Anger is a flash of lightning. Joy is the warmth of the sun on your skin. You cannot control the weather, and you cannot ultimately control which emotions arise within you. But you can change your relationship to them. You can stop being a person huddled in a fragile hut, terrified of the storm, and become the vast, open space in which the weather happens. More than that, you can learn to surf the waves. Our entire society has taught us to fear our inner weather. We have been conditioned to build dams against the river of our feelings. We sort our emotions into two boxes: the good ones, like happiness, love, and excitement, and the bad ones, like fear, sadness, and anger. We then spend our lives desperately chasing the good box and waging a relentless war on the bad one. This war takes three forms. The first is suppression. This is the conscious act of pushing a feeling down. You feel anger rising, and the mind says, "I shouldn't be angry. Nice people don't get angry." You clench your jaw, swallow your words, and force the energy down. The second is repression. This is an unconscious process where emotions that are too threatening to face are buried deep in the body, hidden from your own awareness. The third is unconscious expression. This is when the pressure of a suppressed emotion becomes too great, and it explodes outwards in a reactive way: a sudden outburst of rage, a flood of tears, a panic attack. All three methods are forms of resistance. They are attempts to block the natural flow of energy, and this blockage is the true cause of chronic suffering. An emotion that is not fully felt, acknowledged, and allowed to move through you, does not disappear. It gets trapped in your body. It becomes a dense knot of energy in your stomach, a permanent tightness in your shoulders, a persistent ache in your heart. This trapped energy is the source of chronic anxiety, of lingering depression, of 1,000 physical ailments that have no clear medical cause. The emotion itself was never the problem. A flash of anger is a clean energy that can pass in 90 seconds. But the anger that is suppressed for 20 years becomes a toxic, simmering resentment that poisons every aspect of your life. The wave of grief, if allowed to crash on the shore, will naturally recede. But the grief you refuse to feel becomes a heavy, damp cloak you wear for a lifetime. So why do we do this? We do it because we are terrified of our own feelings. This is the core of the internal conflict. There is a deep, primal fear that if we truly allow ourselves to feel our pain, it will destroy us. The ego, the architect of the cage, believes that sadness is a bottomless pit, that fear is a monster that will devour us whole, that anger is a fire that will burn down the world. It tells you, do not go there. It is not safe. It will do anything to protect you from this perceived threat. It will distract you, numb you, or keep you trapped in the endless, looping stories in your head, because even the familiar pain of thinking is less terrifying to the ego than the raw, unpredictable power of pure feeling. But the soul knows a different truth. The soul knows that the only way out is through. The only way to be free of the wave is to let it wash over you. This is how you learn to surf. It is a conscious skill, an art form you can cultivate. The first step you have already taken. You have surrendered. You have dropped the resistance. You are no longer fighting the wave. The next step is to drop out of your head and into your body. The mind tells stories about the emotion. The body tells the truth. So, when a strong feeling arises, immediately move your attention from the thoughts about the feeling to the raw physical sensations of the feeling itself. Ask yourself the question, where do I feel this in my body? Be a curious scientist of your inner experience. Is it a hollow ache in the center of your chest? Is it a fiery, churning knot in your solar plexus? Is it a cold vibration running down your arms? Is it a pressure behind your eyes? Locate it. Pinpoint its physical signature. Once you have located the sensation, the next step is the most crucial. You must breathe into it. Do not try to breathe it away. Do not try to get rid of it. Do the opposite. Gently, consciously, direct your breath into the heart of the physical sensation. Imagine your breath is a warm, liquid light, and you are pouring it into the tight, knotted area. By breathing into the sensation, you are meeting it with your presence. You are sending it a message of acceptance. You are saying, you are allowed to be here. This is an act of profound courage and compassion. You are no longer running from yourself. You are staying. As you stay with the sensation, breathing into it, you simply watch what it does. You are now in the eye of the storm. In the center of the most intense physical sensation, there is a strange stillness. You are the watcher, observing the energy. It may intensify, it may soften, it may change its shape or move to another part of your body. It may dissolve completely. Your job is not to make it do anything. Your job is simply to provide the safe, accepting space of your awareness for it to complete its natural life cycle. A pure emotion, when met with this kind of presence, is like a flash fire. It burns hot and bright for a short time, and then it burns itself out, leaving the air clear. It is only when we refuse to let it burn that it smolders endlessly. This is the core message, the secret of emotional freedom. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And in learning to surf, you discover that these waves are not your enemies, they are your teachers. Each emotion carries a gift of intelligence. Fear points to an area of your life where you need to cultivate more presence or courage. Anger shows you where a boundary has been violated and needs to be reestablished. Sadness reveals what you have valued, what you have loved. By learning to feel your emotions cleanly, you learn to receive their wisdom without getting lost in their drama. As you practice this, you come to a direct, experiential understanding of what was once just a concept. You feel, in your own body, that emotion is nothing more and nothing less than pure energy, and this realization opens a door to an even vaster perspective. If your emotions are energy, and your thoughts are energy, and your body is a field of energy, then what about everything else? What if the chair you are sitting on, the air you are breathing, the stars in the sky, are all fundamentally made of the same thing? What if the entire universe is not a collection of solid things, but a magnificent, dynamic ocean of vibration? You have stood in the eye of the storm. You have felt the raw energy of emotion moving through your body, and you have realized it is just that, energy in motion. This realization is a doorway. As you step through it, your perception of the world begins to shimmer and change. You begin to understand that this principle does not just apply to your inner world, it applies to everything. The ancient mystics and the modern quantum physicists, speaking different languages across millennia, have arrived at the same astonishing conclusion. At its most fundamental level, the universe is not made of solid things. It is made of energy. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you are, is a vibrating field of energy. The chair you are sitting on may seem solid, but it is a swirling dance of atoms, vibrating at a specific frequency that makes it appear as solid matter. The light entering your eyes is a vibration. The sound entering your ears is a vibration. You are not a solid body living in a solid world. You are a vibrational being living in a vibrational universe. Just as a musical instrument can produce a range of notes from low to high, your consciousness can vibrate at different frequencies. These frequencies are what you experience as your state of being. At the lowest end of the scale are the dense, heavy, slow vibrations. Think of shame. It is the slowest vibration, a feeling so dense it makes you want to contract, to become small, to disappear. Guilt is a sticky, heavy frequency that keeps you energetically tied to a past event. Fear is a frantic, chaotic, contracting vibration that sees threats everywhere. Anger is a hot, explosive, jarring frequency. When you are in these states, you are literally vibrating at a low frequency. Your energy field is contracted, dense, and disharmonious. Life feels heavy, difficult, and threatening. It is a struggle. As you move up the scale, the vibrations become faster, lighter, and more expansive. Courage is the frequency that begins the upward climb, the willingness to face the lower states instead of running from them. Acceptance, as we have explored, is a smooth, flowing, harmonious frequency that stops fighting with reality. Love is a powerful, radiant, and expansive frequency. It is the energy that connects and unifies everything. Joy is a light, bubbling, effervescent vibration that feels like an inner laughter. And at the highest end of the spectrum are peace and gratitude. Peace is the frequency of utter stillness, of being in complete alignment with the universe. And gratitude is perhaps the most magnetic and transformative frequency of all. It is a warm, coherent, and expansive energy that signals to the universe that you are in a state of reception. When you inhabit these higher frequencies, life feels lighter, more magical. You experience flow, synchronicity, and grace. It is at this point that your logical mind may begin to protest. This sounds abstract, unscientific, like wishful thinking. This is the conditioned resistance of the ego, which is comfortable only with the material world it can see and measure. So do not simply believe this. Treat it as an experiment. There is a fundamental law of physics called the law of resonance. It states that when one object is vibrating at a certain frequency, it will cause other objects with the same resonant frequency to begin vibrating as well. If you have two guitars in a room and you pluck the G string on one, the G string on the other guitar will begin to vibrate silently in sympathy. They are attuned to each other. Your consciousness is the most powerful tuning fork in the universe. Your dominant state of being is the note you are constantly playing. This is the real secret behind what many have called the law of attraction. It is not a magical cosmic vending machine that responds to your wishes. It is an impersonal law of resonance. The universe is not giving you what you want. It is giving you what you are. It is reflecting back to you the frequency of your own being. It does not hear your words of affirmation if your underlying feeling state is one of fear and lack. It responds to the vibration. If you are constantly vibrating at the frequency of anxiety, you will find yourself resonating with and attracting situations, people, and experiences that match that anxious energy. If you are vibrating at the frequency of victimhood, you will perceive the world through that lens and attract circumstances that seem to prove your victimhood is real. If you are vibrating at the frequency of love and abundance, you will resonate with the love and abundance that is already all around you, and more will flow to you. Life is a perfect mirror, reflecting your own inner state. You are a broadcasting tower, transmitting a signal into the universe 24 hours a day. That signal is not your thoughts. It is not your hopes. It is the pure, non-verbal vibration of your emotional body. So the question becomes, how do you consciously change your broadcast? How do you tune your instrument? You begin with the most powerful technology available to you for shifting your frequency, the technology of gratitude. This is more than just politely saying thank you. It is a deep, embodied practice. So let us practice now. I invite you to think of one thing in your life, no matter how small, for which you are genuinely grateful. It could be the comfort of the chair you are in. It could be a beloved pet. It could be a person you love. It could be the simple fact that you are breathing. Now, do not just think about it. I want you to feel it. Conjure the actual feeling of gratitude in your body. Where do you feel it? For many, it is a warmth, an expansion in the center of the chest. Let that feeling grow. Let it fill your entire body. This feeling, this warm vibration, is gratitude. It is one of the highest frequencies you can embody. By consciously choosing to feel it, you are actively tuning your own vibration. You are changing your signal. Practicing this daily, even for a few minutes, begins to reset your baseline frequency. You are training yourself to resonate with the energies of joy, appreciation, and abundance, rather than the energies of lack and fear. But as you do this, you may notice something. You may find it difficult to sustain these higher frequencies. You may feel good for a little while, but then you feel yourself being pulled back down by a familiar heaviness. This is because most of us are carrying the dense, unresolved energy of past hurts. These old wounds, these resentments, these failures to forgive, act like energetic anchors, chaining us to the lower vibrations. To truly stabilize your being at a higher frequency of love and peace, it is not enough to simply cultivate positive states. You must also have the courage to face and release the dense energies you have been carrying for so long. You must be willing to step into the sacred fire of forgiveness. You are learning to tune the instrument of your own being, to broadcast a higher, more harmonious frequency into the universe. You have felt the warmth of gratitude, the expansive peace of the present moment, yet you may feel an invisible gravity, a persistent downward pull that seems to sabotage your efforts to remain in these higher states. This gravity comes from the dense, heavy anchors of unresolved energy from your past. Of all these anchors, the heaviest, the most toxic, the one that most effectively chains you to a low vibration, is the poison of unforgiveness. To hold on to resentment, bitterness, and blame is one of the most common and destructive patterns of the human ego. There is an old saying, to hold on to resentment is like drinking poison yourself and waiting for the other person to die. It is a slow-motion act of self-destruction, performed under the illusion that you are somehow punishing someone else. Energetically, every time you dwell on a past hurt, you are reactivating that painful memory and feeding it your precious life force from the present moment. You create an invisible, toxic cord of energy that connects you directly to that person or event from your past. This cord works in both directions. It allows your energy to continuously leak out into a dead moment from history, leaving you depleted and fatigued in the now. It also allows the negative energy of that old wound to continuously flow back into your present, coloring every new experience with the bitter taste of the past. You are literally living your life tethered to a ghost, and you are the one holding onto the chain. Forgiveness is the act of taking up the scissors and cutting that cord, once and for all. But the ego will fight you ferociously on this. Forgiveness is one of the things it resists most, because the ego's identity is often built upon its grievances. Its stories of victimhood, of being wronged, of injustice, are the very pillars of the cage it has built. To forgive is to knock down those pillars. The ego will present you with a series of powerful arguments. It will tell you to forgive them means you are condoning what they did. It means you are saying it was okay. This is the first great lie. Forgiveness is not about condoning a harmful action. The action was what it was, and it may have been deeply wrong. Forgiveness is about releasing the toxic charge around the action from your own nervous system. It has nothing to do with approving of the behavior. Next, the ego will argue, they don't deserve my forgiveness. They haven't even apologized. This is the lie of justice. It positions forgiveness as a reward you bestow upon a worthy recipient. This gives all of your power away. It makes your inner peace dependent on someone else's actions or state of mind. They may never apologize. They may never see the error of their ways. Are you willing to sacrifice your own peace for the rest of your life, waiting for something that may never happen? True forgiveness is not for them. It is for you. It is a gift you give to yourself. It is the declaration that your own peace is more important than being right. Finally, the ego will insist, if I forgive, I will be weak. I will be letting them win. This is the lie of power. The ego believes power lies in holding the grudge, in being the righteous victim. But look at the reality. Who is suffering? Who is replaying the painful movie in their mind? Who is feeling the corrosive acid of resentment in their body? You are. The person who hurt you may be living their life, completely unaware of the prison you have built for yourself. Where is the power in that? The ultimate act of power is to reclaim sovereignty over your own inner state. Forgiveness is the act of taking your power back. It is you, looking at the hot coal of resentment that you have been clutching in your hand, seeing how it has seared your own skin, and making the courageous choice to open your hand and let it drop. This brings us to the true nature of forgiveness. It is a profound act of self-love. It is the clearing of a debt, not owed by them to you, but owed by you to your own soul. The debt is the peace and vitality you have sacrificed by clinging to the past. And this act of forgiveness must be applied in two directions. We must forgive others, and, often more challenging, we must forgive ourselves. You hold yourself hostage for past mistakes, for words you wish you hadn't said, for actions you wish you hadn't taken. You treat your past self with a cruelty you would never inflict on a friend. This self-resentment is a dense anchor of shame and guilt that holds your vibration down. The process is the same. Self-forgiveness is not about saying your past actions were wise or correct. It is about looking at the person you were with compassion, understanding they were doing the best they could with the level of awareness they had at the time, and releasing thee, and therefore, your present self from the prison of perfectionism. Because forgiveness is an energetic act, it is best performed through a conscious ritual of release. This is a practical tool to signal to your body, your mind, and the universe that you are letting go. Find a quiet time and space. Take 2 pieces of paper. On the first, you will write the letter of pain. Write to the person who harmed you, or to yourself. Do not hold back. Pour out all the raw, uncensored rage, grief, and pain. Tell them exactly how their actions made you feel. This is not about being spiritual or enlightened. This is about honoring the reality of your wound. Feel the feelings as you write. Let the tears flow if they come. When you are done, you have given the pain a voice. Now, take the second piece of paper. This will be the letter of release. It can be very simple. It might say, I have felt the pain you caused me. And now, for the sake of my own peace, for the freedom of my own soul, I choose to forgive you. I release you from my story. I cut the cord. I set myself free. Feel the intention behind these words. Feel the shift from victim to sovereign being. Now, take both letters and in a safe place, burn them. As you watch the paper turn to ash, visualize the toxic, energetic cord connecting you to that past event being consumed by this sacred fire. Watch the smoke rise and disappear, carrying the old pain away from you forever. You are performing an act of alchemy, transforming the heavy lead of resentment into the gold of peace. When the ritual is done, there is a new quietness inside. The space that was once occupied by the dense, heavy energy of a grievance is now empty. It is a fertile void. You have reclaimed the immense amount of life force that was leaking into the past. You have healed a wound at the energetic root. Your baseline vibration is now lighter, clearer. This reclaimed energy, this purified power, is now available to you. It is no longer bound to a story of pain. It is free. And now, you can learn to take this free, potent energy and direct it consciously. You can learn to shape it, to focus it, to send it forward as a powerful signal into the universe. You are now ready to learn the art of unwavering intention. You have walked through the sacred fire of forgiveness, and you have emerged on the other side, lighter and clearer. The heavy anchors that tied you to the past have been dissolved. The vast reservoir of your life force, which was once spent fueling old grievances, is now yours to command. You are standing in a place of clean, potent, creative power. The question now becomes, what will you do with it? How will you direct this reclaimed energy? This is where we move from the act of clearing to the act of creating. This is where you learn to wield the unwavering power of intention. First, we must understand that intention is profoundly different from its weaker, more desperate cousin, desire. You have spent most of your life living in the energy of desire. Desire is born from the ego and its perpetual sense of lack. The ego looks out at the world and says, I am not whole, I am not enough. I will be happy when I have that thing, that person, that achievement. Desire is a grasping energy. It is needy. It is rooted in the belief that your happiness is somewhere outside of yourself. When you desire something, your underlying vibration is one of not having it. You are broadcasting the frequency of lack, and so, by the law of resonance, you often attract more experiences of lack. It is a state of anxious wanting. Intention, however, is born from a completely different place. It does not arise from the needy ego, but from the quiet, confident fullness of your soul, the consciousness of the watcher. Intention comes from a place of wholeness. It does not say, I need this to be happy. It says, I am already whole, and from this wholeness, I choose to create this experience. I intend to align my reality with the truth of who I am. Intention is not a grasping, but a focusing. It is a clear, calm, and powerful declaration of what you are choosing to bring forth. It is the focused beam of a laser, shot from a place of profound inner stillness, whereas desire is the scattered, chaotic light of a broken bulb. The universe responds not to your neediness, but to your clarity. The mechanics of a powerful intention are precise, like the principles of an elegant science. The first requirement is clarity. You must be clear about what you intend. A vague wish is not an intention. I wish I were happier is a desire. My intention is to cultivate and experience deep inner peace is an intention. It is a clear command given to your subconscious mind and to the universe. Secondly, the intention must be charged with emotion, but not the needy emotion of desire. It must be charged with the emotion of the wish already fulfilled. You must feel, in your body, right now, what it would feel like to have your intention realized. If your intention is for abundance, you must cultivate the feeling of abundance now, regardless of your external circumstances. If your intention is for love, you must fill yourself with the feeling of love now. This is the most critical step. By generating the feeling state of your fulfilled intention, you are tuning your vibrational frequency to match it. You are becoming a resonant match for the reality you choose to create. The third and most challenging component for the ego is the art of release. After you have clarified your intention, and after you have charged it with the emotion of its fulfillment, you must let it go. You must release it to the greater intelligence of the universe, trusting that it has heard you and that it is orchestrating the means of its delivery. This is where most people falter. The ego immediately wants to jump in and control the how. It worries. It plans obsessively. It looks for evidence. It asks, "Is it working yet?" Every one of these actions is born of doubt. Doubt is the low-frequency static that scrambles the clear signal of your intention. To constantly worry about your intention is to repeatedly tell the universe, "I don't really believe this will happen. I don't trust you." Think of yourself as a gardener. You prepare the soil of your mind by clearing out the weeds of doubt and resentment. Then you plant a seed. That seed is your clear intention. You water that seed with the emotion of gratitude and the feeling of its fulfillment, and then your work is done. You trust the process of germination. You do not dig up the seed every day to check if it is sprouting. That would kill it. You simply continue to tend the garden, to keep the soil fertile, and you allow the seed to grow in its own time, in its own way, often in ways you could never have predicted. This detachment from the outcome is an act of profound faith. It is a state of being relaxed and open, knowing that what is yours will come to you. This is where you will face the internal conflict with the saboteur of doubt. The conditioned mind will mock your efforts. It will tell you this is foolish. It will point to all the evidence from your past as proof that what you intend cannot be. Your practice is not to fight these thoughts of doubt. You cannot win an argument with your ego. Your practice is to see the doubt for what it is, just old, habitual, low-frequency thoughts. From the perspective of the watcher, you simply notice them. Ah, there is the thought of doubt. And then you gently, lovingly, bring your attention back to the feeling of your intention fulfilled. You return to the vibration of trust. You do this again and again, patiently rewiring your own neurology. To build this muscle of intention, begin with a simple and powerful daily practice. When you first wake up, before you reach for your phone, before the noise of the day begins, take a few quiet moments. Set an intention for the day. This does not have to be a grand goal. It can be an intention for your state of being. Today, my intention is to move through my day with a sense of calm and ease. Today, my intention is to be fully present in my conversations. Today, my intention is to find moments of beauty and joy. By doing this, you are no longer starting your day in a reactive mode, being pulled about by external circumstances. You are starting your day as a conscious creator, setting the energetic tone for the hours ahead. You will be amazed at how life begins to organize itself around your stated intention. To hold a clear intention, to stand firm in the feeling of its fulfillment, especially when your outer world may not yet reflect it, requires a particular kind of inner strength. It requires that you align your small daily actions with the greater vision you hold for yourself. It requires a commitment to your own creative power, a promise to yourself that you will honor your intentions with your choices. This gentle, consistent, and powerful inner fortitude is not a matter of willpower or brute force. It is an act of profound self-respect. It is the practice of discipline. You have learned to clarify your intention, to tune your being to the frequency of your desired reality. You have planted the seed in the fertile ground of the universe. But now comes the patient, steady work of tending the garden. To hold a powerful intention, to protect it from the encroaching weeds of doubt and the pests of old habits, requires an inner structure. It requires a quiet strength, a gentle firmness with yourself. This quality is discipline. For many, this word carries the cold, hard weight of punishment. It brings to mind restriction, deprivation, and the harsh voice of a drill sergeant. It feels like the opposite of freedom. But this is a profound misunderstanding. We must redefine discipline, not as a cage that restricts you, but as the very architecture of your freedom. True discipline is one of the highest and most potent forms of self-love. The part of you that resists discipline is the ego, in its guise as the seeker of instant gratification. It is the voice of short-term comfort. It lives by the creed of, "I'll start tomorrow." When you set an intention to wake up early to meditate, it is the voice that whispers, "Just 5 more minutes. You're so tired you deserve to rest." When you commit to eating healthier, it is the voice that says, "You had a hard day. You deserve this treat. One time won't hurt." It is a seductive voice, and it always speaks the language of comfort and ease. But its promises are hollow. Every time you heed this voice, every time you break a promise you have made to yourself, you cast a vote against the person you want to become. It may seem like a small thing in the moment, but it is a slow, steady erosion of your own self-respect. Each broken promise sends a subtle message to your subconscious mind: my word is not valuable. I cannot be trusted. I am not worthy of my own commitment. This inner belief is far more damaging than any single indulgence. It creates an energetic signature of unreliability, which then gets reflected back to you in your outer world. Now, consider the alternative. Imagine you make a small promise to yourself. "I will meditate for 5 minutes today." And when the moment comes and the voice of resistance arises, you gently acknowledge it, and you do it anyway. You sit for 5 minutes. When you are done, something profound has happened. It is not about the 5 minutes of meditation, it is about the fact that you kept your word. You honored your commitment. In that moment, you have cast a vote for the person you are choosing to be. You have sent a powerful new message to your subconscious. I am someone who follows through. My word has integrity. I am worthy of my own respect. This is the foundation of true self-esteem. It cannot be given to you by others. It cannot be gained through external achievements. It is built, moment by moment, through the quiet, consistent act of keeping the promises you make to yourself. Each act of discipline is a deposit into your bank account of self-respect, and a person with a high degree of self-respect becomes a magnetic force, radiating a quiet confidence and power that is unmistakable. Let us use a metaphor. Your life force, your creative potential, your intention is a great river. Without discipline, this river has no banks. It spills out in every direction, becoming a vast, shallow, stagnant swamp. It has no power, no direction. It cannot travel far. It cannot carve canyons or create fertile valleys. It is just a marsh of unfulfilled potential. Discipline provides the banks for the river. The banks do not restrict the water, they give it form, direction, and immense power. By creating a strong container, the river can flow deeply and swiftly. It can overcome obstacles. It can journey all the way to the great ocean of its fulfillment. Discipline is not the limitation of your freedom. It is the very structure that allows you to be powerful enough to be truly free. It is the difference between a scattered puddle and a mighty river. The mistake most people make is that they try to build the entire riverbank in one day. They make huge, overwhelming commitments. I will go to the gym for 2 hours every day, and then fail after a week, reinforcing the belief that they are not disciplined. The key is to start small. The key is to build the banks one stone at a time. This is the practice of micro-discipline. Choose a commitment so small that it is almost impossible to fail. Drink 1 glass of water when you wake up. Do 1 push-up. Write 1 sentence in a journal. Meditate for 1 single minute. The goal here is not the act itself. The goal is the consistency. The goal is to build a chain of unbroken promises to yourself. Each day you perform your tiny act of discipline, you add another link to that chain. Soon, you have a chain of 7 days, then 30, then 100. You are proving to yourself, on a cellular level, that you are a person of integrity. And from that small, unshakable foundation, you can then begin to build bigger structures, to take on larger commitments, with a newfound confidence in your ability to follow through. This inner foundation of self-trust, this integrity forged in the quiet fire of daily discipline, is not just for achieving goals. It is a form of spiritual training. It is the tempering of your own steel. You are building the inner fortitude necessary to face the more challenging energies of life without collapsing. You are developing the strength to hold true to your intentions, even when the storms of doubt or fear begin to blow. It is easy to feel peaceful when life is calm. It is easy to hold your intention when there are no obstacles. But life will inevitably present you with challenges. It will test your resolve. It will bring you face to face with your deepest, most primal conditioning. And the most powerful of these challenges, the one that can scatter your intentions and shatter your will in an instant, is the raw, untamed energy of fear. The discipline you cultivate now is the training for that encounter. It is the silent preparation for the moment you must walk toward the thing that frightens you most. You have been building an inner temple of self-respect through the quiet practice of discipline. You have strengthened the banks of your river, and your intention now flows with a clearer, more focused power. This inner fortitude has not been cultivated for times of ease. It has been cultivated for this. It has been cultivated so that you may face the most ancient, most primal, and most powerful of all human emotions. It is time to talk about fear. We must approach this topic with great reverence, for fear is your oldest teacher. It is the emotion that has kept your ancestors alive for millennia. There is a healthy, intelligent fear that tells you not to step off a cliff or touch a hot stove. We honor this fear, but we are not here to talk about that fear. We are here to talk about its phantom cousin. Psychological fear, the fear of the future, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of success, the fear of the unknown. This is the fear that builds the invisible fences around your life, keeping you in a pasture of familiarity that has become a prison. The ego, in its primary role as your protector, uses psychological fear as its most effective tool of control. Its prime directive is to keep you safe, and it defines safe as what is known. Anything outside of your current comfort zone, a new career, a vulnerable conversation, a creative project, a journey into your own heart, is perceived by the ego as a threat to your survival. And so, it generates fear. Fear is the electricity that runs through the bars of your cage. It is the moat around your castle of habit. When you even think about approaching the edge of your comfort zone, the ego projects a horror film onto the screen of your mind. It shows you vivid scenes of catastrophic failure, of public humiliation, of being cast out and left alone. It whispers, "Don't do it. You're not ready. You'll make a fool of yourself." It's safer here. And because the body cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a vividly imagined one, it responds accordingly. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, your stomach churns. The physical reality of the fear paralyzes you, and you retreat back into the perceived safety of the known. You have allowed a phantom to dictate the size of your life. Your conditioned response to this unpleasant sensation is to try and get rid of it. You may try to fight the fear, to conquer it through force of will, or you may try to numb it with distraction, or rationalize it away with logic. All of these strategies are forms of resistance. All of them are based on the false premise that you should not be feeling fear. But trying not to feel fear is as futile as trying not to feel hungry when you have not eaten. Fear is a natural, energetic response. To fight it is to give it more power, to become entangled in a struggle with yourself. The secret is not to eliminate fear, but to change your relationship to it. The goal is to learn to act in the presence of fear. This is the true definition of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. If you are not feeling fear, you do not need courage. Courage is the willingness to feel the trembling in your knees and to take the next step anyway. It is the choice to let fear be a passenger in the car of your life, but to firmly refuse to let it take the driver's seat. So how do you practice this courage? How do you walk with fear instead of running from it? You begin by turning towards it. When the wave of fear arises, your instinct is to turn your back and run. Instead, you must learn to stand your ground, and with the calm presence of the watcher, look it directly in the eye. You do this first by naming it. You give the vague, monstrous feeling a specific label. Do not just say, "I'm scared." Say precisely what you are afraid of. This is the fear of being judged by my peers. This is the fear of not being good enough. This is the fear of losing control. By naming it, you take it out of the dark, amorphous realm of terror and bring it into the light of your conscious awareness. It immediately loses some of its power. It becomes an observable object rather than an all-consuming state. Next, as you have learned with all emotions, you drop out of the story in your head and into the sensations in your body. Where does this fear live inside you? Feel the raw physical energy of it without the mental narrative. Feel the tightness in your throat, the knot in your belly, the coldness in your hands. Breathe into these sensations. Meet the energy of fear with the warm, accepting energy of your breath. You are not trying to push it away. You are creating space for it. You are telling it, "I feel you. I acknowledge your presence. You are allowed to be here." You are treating it not as an enemy, but as a frightened part of yourself that needs your compassionate attention. And now, with the fear acknowledged, named, and held in your compassionate awareness, you take the smallest possible step forward. Do not think about the entire terrifying journey. That is overwhelming. Ask yourself one question. What is the most ridiculously small action I can take right now? If your fear is writing a book, the step is to write one sentence. If your fear is starting a business, the step is to do one Google search. If your fear is making a difficult phone call, the step is to pick up the phone and dial the first number. This is the essence of walking with fear. You take one tiny step while the fear is screaming in your ear. And in taking that step, you prove something to your nervous system. You prove that you can be afraid and you can still act. You are building a new neural pathway, a pathway of courage. Fear is a paper dragon. From a distance, its painted face looks ferocious. Its massive form seems to block the entire path. But as you take one small step towards it, and then another, you begin to see it for what it is. It is a thin, flimsy construction of thought and shadow. It has no real substance. Its only power was the power you gave it by keeping your distance. The closer you get, the less real it seems. And when you finally reach it, you can simply push your finger through the paper and see the open sky on the other side. Beyond your greatest fear lies your greatest freedom. Fear is a compass. It almost always points directly to the area of your life that your soul is calling you to explore next. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. As you practice walking with fear, you begin to uncover the root of so many of these psychological phantoms. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, they are all branches of a single, deeper fear. It is the fear that you will not be seen in a positive light. It is the fear that you will be misunderstood, disapproved of, or deemed unworthy by the tribe. It is the profound, deeply conditioned human need for external validation. To become truly free, to walk through life with a fearless heart, you must be willing to address this need at its root. You must be willing to liberate yourself from the constant, exhausting quest for approval. You have walked with fear. You have learned to feel its cold grip without letting it paralyze you. As you become more intimate with this energy, you begin to see the common thread that runs through so many of your deepest anxieties. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment. At the root of them all lies a single, powerful, and deeply human need. The need to be understood, to be approved of, to be validated by others. From the moment we are born, we are wired to seek the approval of our caregivers. It is a survival instinct. In our tribal past, being accepted by the group meant safety and life. Being cast out meant certain death. This ancient software is still running in the depths of your modern psyche. But what was once a tool for survival has now, for many, become a sophisticated and invisible prison. It is the prison of other people's minds. Think of the immense amount of energy you spend every day calculating, managing, and attempting to control what other people think of you. You edit your words. You filter your opinions. You carefully curate the image you project to the world. You become a performer, an actor playing a role you believe will be met with applause, or at least will not be met with rejection. You wear the mask of being nice and agreeable, burying your true feelings so as not to cause conflict. You wear the mask of competence and control, terrified to reveal any vulnerability or uncertainty. You wear the mask of being interesting, of being spiritual, of being tough. You have a different mask for your boss, your partner, your parents, your friends. This is exhausting. It is a life lived on the defense. And it creates a painful split within you, a chasm between the person you present to the world and the person you know yourself to be in your quietest moments. This inner division is the source of the nagging feeling of being a fraud, of the anxiety that one day you will be found out. This creates the most fundamental internal conflict of the human soul, the battle between authenticity and belonging. On one hand, your soul cries out for authenticity. It yearns to express its unique truth, to be seen and loved for who you truly are, without the masks. On the other hand, your conditioned mind, your ancient survival software, cries out for belonging. It believes, on a primal level, that your survival depends on the approval of the tribe. The conflict reaches its crisis point when you come to believe that you must choose between the two. The fear whispers, if I show them who I really am, if I speak my unfiltered truth, if I follow my unconventional path, they will not understand me. They will judge me. They will reject me. I will be alone. This fear of isolation is so potent that most people unconsciously make a tragic choice. They choose perceived belonging over true authenticity. They begin to betray themselves in small ways. They silence an opinion to keep the peace. They say yes when their heart is screaming no. They pursue a career to please their parents. They stay in a relationship to avoid being alone. They amputate the vibrant, quirky, and unconventional parts of themselves to fit into the narrow box of social acceptability. And in doing so, they achieve a shallow form of belonging, but at the cost of their own soul. The great irony is that in desperately seeking connection with others by hiding yourself, you sever the most important connection of all, the connection with your own true being. You become a stranger to yourself. The liberation from this prison does not come from convincing everyone to understand and approve of you. That is an impossible and exhausting task. The liberation comes from a radical shift in your center of gravity. It is the moment you withdraw your need for validation from the outside world and place it firmly within your own heart. It is the moment you realize that your own approval is the only approval that ever truly mattered. The core message is this: true peace, true freedom, and true power arrive on the day you no longer need anyone else's permission to be yourself. This is not a license for arrogance, cruelty, or selfishness. It is the opposite. It is the quiet, dignified, and unshakable state of being anchored in your own truth. It is the realization that you are not a project to be perfected for the viewing pleasure of others. You are a sovereign being. Imagine a great ancient oak tree standing in a forest. It does not look to the pine tree for approval of its leaves. It does not ask the willow for its opinion on the strength of its trunk. It does not try to grow faster to impress the birch. It is simply, magnificently, and unapologetically an oak tree. Its power comes not from comparison or validation, but from the deep, silent integrity of its own being. It is rooted in its own truth. You are that oak tree. Your journey is to stop seeking validation from the other trees in the forest and to start drawing strength from your own deep roots. This liberation is cultivated through small, practical acts of authenticity. Begin with the practice of the clean no. Learn to say no politely and calmly to invitations, requests, and expectations that do not resonate with your truth. You do not need to provide a long, elaborate justification. A simple, "Thank you for thinking of me, but that doesn't work for me," is a complete statement. It is an act of honoring your own energy and time. Next, begin the practice of the undefended opinion. When you are in a conversation, state your perspective or your preference clearly and simply, and then stop. Resist the powerful urge to justify it, to defend it, to convince the other person that you are right. You are allowed to have your preference. They are allowed to have theirs. By not defending, you are energetically communicating that your sense of self is not dependent on their agreement. You are planting your flag in your own sovereign ground. A beautiful and unexpected paradox occurs when you release the need to be understood. When you are no longer approaching others with the hidden agenda of seeking their approval, the walls of fear and calculation within you begin to dissolve. You stop seeing people as potential judges or sources of validation. You are no longer scanning them for micro-expressions of approval or disapproval. For the first time, you are free to truly see them. You can listen to them with an open heart, without your own needs getting in the way. By releasing them from the job of validating you, you give both them and yourself an incredible gift. You give the gift of authentic connection. You stop seeing a world of potential threats to your identity, and you start seeing a world of fellow beings, each on their own unique journey. This is the end of the war. It is the beginning of the end of the great illusion of separation. You have released yourself from the exhausting pursuit of external validation. A great weight has lifted. As you stop seeing other people as judges who hold the key to your self-worth, a quiet miracle occurs. You begin to see them simply as they are. Fellow travelers, each inhabiting their own world of thought and feeling. The wall of fear and calculation that stood between you and the world begins to dissolve. And in the space that opens up, you are ready to perceive the deepest truth of existence. A truth that your ego has spent a lifetime trying to hide from you. This is the truth, that the illusion of separation is just that, an illusion. The feeling of being a fragile, isolated self, a lonely fragment in a vast and indifferent universe, is the foundational myth that has generated almost all of the suffering on this planet. Let us look at how the ego, the architect of your cage, constructs this illusion of separation. Its work begins with your body. From a very early age, it draws a sharp, clear line around your physical form and declares, "This is me. Everything outside this skin is not me." This is the primary division, the birth of the separate self. It is a necessary distinction for navigating the physical world, but the ego mistakes this temporary boundary for an ultimate truth. Next, it builds a fortress of the mind. It identifies with a particular set of thoughts, memories, beliefs, and experiences. These are my thoughts, my beliefs, my story. It creates a unique personality structure and calls it me. But the ego is not content with this individual separation. To strengthen its sense of identity, it seeks out other egos with similar stories and forms a group. It expands the boundary to include us, my family, my team, my country, my religion. And the very moment an us is created, an opposing them is born. For the ego to exist, it needs an other to define itself against. It feels tall by making others small. It feels righteous by making others wrong. It feels safe by making others a threat. This us versus them mentality is the root of all tribalism, all prejudice, all war. It is the illusion of separation projected onto the canvas of the world. It is the source of the profound and painful belief that you are alone. This illusion is the direct cause of so much of your inner suffering. The deep ache of loneliness that haunts your quiet moments is a symptom of believing you are fundamentally cut off from the whole of life. The poison of comparison, the endless mental habit of measuring yourself against others, can only exist if you believe you are separate entities competing in a great race. Envy, jealousy, and feelings of superiority or inferiority all spring from this single root, and on a larger scale, this illusion allows for unimaginable cruelty. When you see another person, another race, another nation, or even another species as fundamentally separate from you, their pain is not your pain. Their suffering becomes an abstract concept, allowing for indifference, exploitation, and violence. Our belief that humanity is separate from and superior to the web of life on this planet is what has allowed us to pollute our oceans and destroy our forests. We have forgotten that you cannot harm a part of the whole without ultimately harming yourself. It is time to pierce this veil, to awaken from this dream of separation. The mystics and sages of all traditions have tried to point us toward this truth using different metaphors. One of the most powerful is that of the ocean and its waves. Look at the ocean. You see thousands upon thousands of individual waves. Each wave has a unique form, a unique lifespan. It is born from the swell, it crests, it crashes on the shore, and it disappears. From the perspective of the wave, it is a separate entity. It might look at the other waves and think, I am bigger than that one, smaller than that one. But what is the absolute, undeniable reality of every single wave? Its essence is the ocean. The wave is not separate from the ocean. It is not something that is in the ocean. The wave is the ocean, expressing itself as a wave for a short time. It is made of nothing but ocean. You are a wave. I am a wave. Every person, every animal, every tree, every star is a unique and beautiful wave. But the essence of all of us, the water that makes up every wave, is one single, undivided ocean of consciousness. Your consciousness and my consciousness are not two things. They are two vantage points through which the one consciousness is looking out and experiencing itself. The life that animates you is the same life that animates me. The awareness that is looking out through your eyes now is, at its root, the same awareness that is speaking these words. When you look into the eyes of another, you are the universe looking at itself. This is not a mere philosophy. It is a reality that can be felt. You can cultivate this felt sense of connection through the ancient practice of metta, or loving-kindness meditation. It is a practice that intentionally dissolves the ego's artificial boundaries. You begin by generating a feeling of warmth and kindness in your own heart, offering it to yourself. Then, you extend that feeling to someone you love dearly. After that, you extend it to a neutral person, someone you have no strong feelings about. Then comes the most transformative step. You extend that same feeling of loving kindness to someone with whom you have difficulty, someone you perceive as an enemy. In doing so, you are energetically declaring that even they are a part of the same one life as you. Finally, you radiate that feeling outwards to all beings everywhere, without distinction. This practice is a powerful solvent for the illusion of separation. When you begin to live from this understanding, your entire world changes. You realize that compassion is not a moral duty. It is a natural consequence of seeing reality clearly. The pain of another is, in a very real sense, your own pain, because you are connected on a level deeper than form. Their joy is your joy. And most importantly, your understanding of cause and effect is transformed. You realize that every thought, every word, and every action is not an isolated event. It is a ripple sent out into the unified field of consciousness. An act of kindness towards another is an act of kindness to the whole, and therefore to yourself. An act of harm towards another is an act of harm to the whole, and therefore to yourself. The ripple always returns to its source. This is not a system of cosmic reward and punishment. It is simply the inescapable physics of a unified universe. It is the true meaning of karma. You are beginning to perceive the world not as a collection of separate fragments, but as a single, unified, and interconnected whole. You see that the boundary between you and the universe is an illusion. This profound realization is the necessary foundation for understanding one of the most misunderstood and yet most powerful spiritual laws, the law of karma. When you hear the word karma, your mind may conjure an image of a cosmic judge, a celestial bookkeeper meticulously recording your good and bad deeds. It suggests a system of divine reward and punishment, where you are either blessed for your virtues or made to pay for your sins, perhaps even in a future life. Let us dismantle this primitive, fear-based interpretation right now. This view of karma was created by the ego to control behavior through the threat of future retribution. The true nature of karma is not moral, it is scientific. It is infinitely more impersonal, more elegant, and far more empowering. Karma is simply the universal law of cause and effect. It is the spiritual equivalent of the physical law that states for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It is the principle of energetic return. The universe is not judging you, it is reflecting you. It is a perfect, impartial mirror that shows you the quality of the energy you are emitting. When you touch a hot stove, the fire burns you. The fire is not punishing you for your mistake. It is simply being fire. Its nature is to burn. In the same way, when you send out an energy of anger, judgment, or cruelty into the unified field of consciousness, the energy that returns to you will be of a similar dissonant quality. It is not punishment, it is resonance. It is the universe showing you the nature of the energy you have just created. Conversely, when you emit an energy of kindness, generosity, or compassion, the circumstances and experiences that flow back to you will be imbued with that same harmonious quality. The word karma literally means action. And in this context, action includes more than just your physical deeds. It includes your words, which are vibrations that travel out into the world. It includes your thoughts, which are subtle but potent energetic transmissions. And most importantly, it includes your intentions, which are the energetic seeds from which your thoughts, words, and deeds sprout. Every single moment, you are performing karma. You are sending out ripples into the ocean of consciousness. And by the simple impersonal law of physics, those ripples will eventually find their way back to you. Understanding this, you can now see the two great traps the ego lays for you concerning karma. The first trap is to use karma as an excuse for passivity and victimhood. This is the ego that says, "My life is difficult because of my bad karma." It looks at its present circumstances and resigns itself to a miserable fate, believing it is paying off some unknowable debt from a past life. This is a profound disempowerment. It is a way of avoiding responsibility for the one thing you have absolute control over, your actions in this present moment. The second trap is to live in constant fear of karma. This is the ego that becomes rigid, scrupulous, and terrified of making a mistake. It lives in a state of spiritual anxiety, constantly worried about accumulating bad karma, and its every action is tainted by the low vibration of fear. The true, liberated understanding of karma is the opposite of both of these traps. Karma is not a prison sentence that condemns you to repeat the past. Karma is the very key that unlocks the door to your future. The law of cause and effect, when truly understood, gives you ultimate power and ultimate responsibility. It means that what you do, think, and feel right now is the cause of your future reality. You are not a victim of your past karma. You are the creator of your future karma, in this very moment. You cannot change what you did yesterday, but you can change completely what you do today. This is the most hopeful and empowering truth there is. Imagine your life as a garden. The circumstances you find yourself in today, your health, your relationships, your finances, the harvest from the seeds you have planted in the past. Some of those seeds were planted consciously. Many more were planted unconsciously, through habitual thought patterns and reactive behaviors. You may look around your garden and see beautiful flowers, but you may also see weeds of discontent, thorns of resentment, and patches of barren ground. You cannot go back in time and unplant these seeds. The harvest is what it is, and you must meet it with acceptance. But here is the miracle. Today, right now, you are standing in your garden, and your hands are full of new seeds. You have absolute, total freedom of choice about what you will plant from this moment forward. Will you continue to sow the familiar seeds of fear, blame, and negativity? Will you continue to water the weeds of your old grievances? Or will you make a conscious choice, right now, to begin planting different seeds? Will you plant the seed of a kind word, the seed of a compassionate thought, the seed of a generous action? Every moment is a karmic choice point. Every moment, you are either reinforcing the patterns of the past, or you are planting the seeds of a new future. The entire power of your destiny is contained in the choices you make in the eternal present moment. To make this a living practice, you can use a simple question as a guide. Before you speak, before you act, especially when you are in a reactive emotional state, pause for just a beat, and in that sacred pause, ask yourself this: from what energy is this action arising? Is it coming from a place of love, expansion, and connection? Or is it coming from a place of fear, contraction, and separation? What seed am I about to plant in the garden of my life? This simple question, practiced consistently, will transform you from an unconscious actor in a karmic play to the conscious, masterful gardener of your own reality. As you become a more conscious gardener, you realize that planting good seeds is only half the process. For those seeds of love, joy, and kindness to truly flourish, they need to be planted in rich, fertile soil. A mind that is rigid, overly serious, joyless, and devoid of inspiration is like dry, compacted clay. The most beautiful seeds will struggle to take root there. To create the fertile ground for a magnificent life, you must cultivate the qualities of lightness, playfulness, and inspiration. You must awaken the part of you that is not just a dutiful gardener, but a joyful artist. You must learn to reclaim your own innate, divine, creative power. You are the conscious gardener of your life, learning to plant the seeds of your intentions in every moment. But for these seeds to grow into a magnificent reality, they require rich, fertile soil. A mind that is rigid, overly analytical, and devoid of inspiration is like hard, dry ground. Nothing new can easily take root there. The way we enrich the soil of our consciousness, the way we make it fertile for miracles, is by reconnecting with a force that is your very birthright. It is the divine spark of creation that lives within you. It is time to reclaim your creative power. When you hear the word creative, your mind may immediately leap to a narrow definition. It thinks of painters, poets, and musicians. It thinks of a special, gifted few who were blessed with a talent that you believe you do not possess. This is the first and most limiting belief you must release. Creativity is not a rare talent. It is a fundamental life force. It is the same force that pushes a seed through the dark earth, that designs the intricate patterns of a snowflake, that paints the sky at sunset. This universal creative energy is not something separate from you. It flows to you, and it seeks to flow through you. You were born a creator. As a child, you created imaginary worlds. You drew without fear. You sang without self-consciousness. You were in a constant state of creative play. So what happened? Why did the fertile soil become hard ground? For most of us, this innate creative impulse was slowly buried under layers of conditioning. The educational system taught us that there is only one right answer, punishing the divergent thinking that is the hallmark of creativity. Society taught us that an activity is only valuable if it is productive, if it leads to a tangible result, preferably a financial one. Anything done simply for the joy of it was dismissed as a hobby, a luxury, or a waste of time. And most damaging of all, your own inner critic, the voice of the ego, began to judge your creative efforts. It compared your drawing to a master's and called it worthless. It listened to your singing and called it amateurish. It read your words and called them foolish. This inner critic, terrified of judgment from the outside world, convinced you to put down your paintbrushes, to silence your songs, to hide your journals. It convinced you that it was safer to be a spectator of life than a participant in the act of creation. We are here to reclaim this vital part of yourself, not as a mere hobby, but as a profound spiritual practice. Engaging in a creative act, any creative act, is a form of active meditation. When you are completely absorbed in an activity you love, whether it is cooking, gardening, coding, arranging flowers, or playing an instrument, something magical happens. The relentless chatter of the mind goes quiet. The judging, comparing, worrying voice of the ego fades into the background. Your sense of being a separate self, the me with all its problems and history, dissolves. Time itself seems to bend and disappear. You enter a state of pure presence, a state of flow. In these moments, you are not thinking. You are being. You are not trying to control the outcome. You are dancing with the present moment. This state of flow is a portal. It is a state of consciousness where you are no longer the one doing the creating. You have gotten your small, egoic self out of the way, and you have become an open channel for the greater creative intelligence of the universe to flow through you. You are the vessel. This is the deepest meaning of creativity. It is not about self-expression. It is about self-transcendence. It is about becoming so absorbed in the act of creation that the self you think you are disappears, and what is left is simply the creative impulse itself, moving without resistance. Imagine you are a flute. For years, the flute has been clogged with the mud and debris of your ego, your fears, your self-judgments, your limiting beliefs, your need for approval. The breath of life can try to flow through it, but no music can emerge, only a choked and dissonant sound. All the spiritual work you have been doing, observing your thoughts, feeling your emotions, forgiving the past has been the patient and loving process of cleaning out the flute. You have been clearing away the debris so that the instrument can become what it was always meant to be: hollow, open, and resonant. The core message is this: you are not the musician, you are the flute. Your only responsibility is to keep the instrument clean. Your only task is to get yourself out of the way and allow the divine breath, the creative spirit of the universe, to play its unique and beautiful music through you. This removes the terrible pressure of having to be talented or original. You do not have to invent the music. You only have to allow it to be played. To put this into practice, you must give yourself the gift of purposeless play. Choose an activity that sparks a flicker of interest in you. It does not matter what it is. And grant yourself permission to engage with it with one sacred rule: there is no goal. You are not trying to create a masterpiece. You are not trying to impress your friends or build a business. You are not creating a product. The outcome is irrelevant. The entire point of the exercise is to lose yourself in the process. Draw like a child, with no concern for proportion or realism. Dance in your living room with no thought for how you look. Write in a journal with no intention of anyone ever reading it. Cook a meal by following your intuition instead of a recipe. By removing the pressure of a goal, you fire the inner critic, you take away its job, and you invite the playful, creative spirit within you to finally emerge from hiding. As you allow yourself to enter this state of creative flow more often, you will notice a natural and beautiful byproduct. You will feel a sense of profound and authentic joy. This is not the fleeting egoic happiness that comes from getting something you want. It is a deeper, more resonant joy that comes from the soul being allowed to express its true nature. It is the joy of alignment, the joy of being used by a force greater than yourself. This joy is not a destination to be pursued. It is a signal. It is an inner guidance system. It is a compass, showing you at every moment whether you are moving toward or away from your own true north. You have reconnected with your innate creative power. that divine impulse that flows through you when your ego gets out of the way. And you have discovered that in these moments of pure, uninhibited creation, a particular feeling arises. It is a feeling of deep, resonant, and authentic joy. We must now turn our attention to this feeling, for it is not a mere byproduct of your spiritual journey. It is the very compass that will guide you for the rest of the way. But first, we must distinguish joy from its more common and conditional cousin, happiness. Happiness is a transaction. It is an external event. You are happy because you received a promotion, because you fell in love, because your team won. It is dependent on conditions being met, on the world outside of you conforming to your desires. As such, it is fleeting and unreliable, because conditions are always changing. Joy, however, is not a transaction. It is a state of being. It arises from within. It is the feeling of your soul aligning with its own truth. It is the resonance you feel when you are living in harmony with the present moment. It is not dependent on getting anything from the world. It is the natural state that emerges when you are no longer resisting reality, when you are no longer lost in the past or the future, when you are expressing your authentic self. Happiness is the temporary pleasure of the ego. Joy is the quiet, abiding peace of the soul. And yet, many of us have a deeply conflicted relationship with joy. The ego is profoundly suspicious of it. You may have noticed this within yourself. A moment of pure, unadulterated joy arises, and almost immediately, a secondary voice comes in to dampen it. This voice, the voice of the conditioned mind, has several arguments against joy. The first is the argument of unworthiness. It whispers, "Who are you to feel this good? You don't deserve this. You haven't earned it." It is the echo of old beliefs, that your worth is conditional upon your productivity or your suffering. The second argument is the argument of guilt. The mind looks around at the pain and suffering in the world and concludes, "How can I be joyful when so many others are in pain? It is selfish. It is inappropriate." And perhaps the most insidious argument of all is the ego's fear of loss. The ego knows that all external forms are temporary. It is terrified of feeling pure joy because it anticipates the pain of that joy being taken away. When you feel a moment of deep love, it whispers, "This won't last." When you achieve a moment of success, it says, "Now you have more to lose." And so, in a preemptive act of self-protection, it sabotages your joy. It mutes the colors. It dampens the feeling, believing that if you never fly too high, the fall won't hurt as much. All of these are tricks of the mind designed to keep you in the familiar, contracted state of low-grade anxiety, a state the ego has learned to equate with safety. We are here to see through these illusions and to reclaim joy, not as a luxury, but as your most essential navigation tool. Your joy is your soul's compass. It is the direct, intuitive feedback system that tells you if you are aligned with your true path. When you feel a sense of authentic joy, not a manic, superficial excitement, but a deep, quiet, resonant sense of rightness, that is your inner guidance system saying, "Yes, this is it, more of this." It is a signal that you are living in alignment with your deepest purpose. Conversely, feelings of boredom, listlessness, emptiness, and frustration are also signals from the compass. They are not punishments. They are gentle, loving indications that you have wandered off your path. They are your soul's way of saying, "This is not it. This direction no longer serves you. It is time for a course correction." The work is not to chase joy, but to learn to read the compass of your own heart. To the ego's argument that feeling joy is selfish, we must offer a higher truth. Your joy is not a private indulgence. It is a gift to the world. As you have learned, your state of being is a vibrational frequency that you are constantly broadcasting. Joy is one of the highest, most healing frequencies you can embody. When you are in a state of joy, you are a beacon of light. Your high vibration naturally and effortlessly elevates the consciousness of everyone you interact with. You do not need to preach to them or try to fix them. Your presence itself becomes a form of medicine, a permission slip for them to access their own joy. Think of the sun. The sun does not look down at the dark, cold corners of the earth and feel guilty for its own light. It does not hoard its warmth. It simply shines. And in its shining, it gives life, it nurtures growth, it dispels the darkness. You are that sun. Your primary spiritual responsibility is not to solve the world's problems, but to shine your own light as brightly and as joyfully as you can. The practice, then, is to become a student of your own joy. It is to follow its trail like a detective following clues. Ask yourself this question often throughout your day. What brings me a sense of real joy? Do not look for grand, dramatic answers. Look for the small things. Is it the first sip of coffee in the morning? Is it the feeling of sunlight on your face? Is it a particular song? Is it the laughter of a friend? Is it the satisfaction of solving a difficult problem? Is it the silence of nature? Pay attention to these small flickers of light. These are the breadcrumbs your soul has left for you. Your path is not a superhighway built by someone else. It is a quiet trail that you discover by following the breadcrumbs of your own unique joy. And the instruction is simple. Whatever brings you that authentic feeling of lightness and expansion, do more of it. Make space for it. Prioritize it. It is not an indulgence. It is your homework. It is you, aligning with your own soul. As you learn to trust this inner compass, you realize that it requires a new way of living. It requires you to release your tight grip on your own plans, your own timelines, your own rigid ideas of how your life should unfold. You cannot force your way to joy. You can only listen, follow, and respond to its gentle guidance. This is an act of profound trust. It is faith in the knowing that your inner guidance system is wiser than your conscious mind. It is a willingness to let go of the oars and to allow the current of life itself to carry you. It is a decision to stop fighting the river and to begin dancing with the natural, intelligent, and benevolent rhythm of the universe. You have begun to trust the inner compass of your joy, following its subtle guidance towards a life of greater alignment. This practice of following requires a profound letting go. It asks you to release your own frantic, desperate schedule and to begin to listen for a deeper, quieter, more ancient beat. It asks you to learn to dance with the rhythm of life. Your suffering has often arisen from a fundamental conflict of rhythms. There is the rhythm of your ego, and there is the rhythm of life itself. The ego's rhythm is frantic, impatient, and linear. It believes life should be a constant, upward trajectory of progress. It wants more, faster, now. It lives in a state of perpetual urgency. But life, the great universal intelligence, does not move in a straight line. It moves in cycles. It moves in seasons. It breathes. It has a rhythm of expansion and contraction, of action and rest, of outward expression and inward retreat. To be at peace is to synchronize your personal rhythm with the universal rhythm. It is to stop trying to swim against the current and to learn to flow with it. To understand this, think of the seasons of the soul. Your life is not a single, unchanging summer. It is a cyclical journey through inner seasons, and each season has its own purpose, its own beauty, and its own wisdom. There is the season of winter. This is a time of dormancy, of rest, of deep introspection. On the surface, it may look like nothing is happening. You may feel withdrawn, unproductive, or fallow. The ego resists this season fiercely, calling it stagnation or depression. But beneath the frozen ground, life is gathering its strength. Roots are deepening. Energy is being conserved for the coming thaw. This is a sacred and necessary time for inner work and quiet reflection. Then comes the season of spring. The ice begins to melt and new life stirs. This is a time of fresh energy, of new beginnings, of planting the seeds of your intentions. It is a time of vulnerability, of tentative growth, like a young sprout pushing through the soil. You may feel hopeful but also uncertain. Your new path is not yet clear. The ego is impatient with this phase, wanting to rush to the end result. But spring cannot be rushed. It requires patience and the nurturing of tender new growth. After spring comes the season of summer. This is a time of peak energy, of vibrant growth, of outward decisive action. The sun is high in the sky, and your intentions are now manifesting in the world. You feel powerful, expressive, and fully engaged. The ego loves summer. It wants this season to last forever. It clings to the peak experiences, the successes, the feeling of being in full bloom. It fears the inevitable turning of the wheel. And after summer comes autumn. This is the time of harvest, of reaping the rewards of your summer's work. But it is also, crucially, a time of letting go. The leaves turn color and fall from the trees. The energy begins to draw inward again. It is a time to release what has served its purpose, to shed old identities, to clear away the clutter to prepare for the coming winter. The ego fights this season of release, clinging to the fruits of summer, fearing the emptiness of winter. It sees letting go as a form of death. You will cycle through these seasons many times in your life. A major life transition may be a multi-year cycle. A single creative project may have its own winter of ideas, its spring of creation, its summer of execution, and its autumn of completion. Even your day has a rhythm. You cannot live in a perpetual summer of action. You require the winter of sleep, the spring of gentle waking. The tyranny of the ego is that it is always demanding the wrong season. It wants you to be taking massive action. Summer, when your soul is calling for rest. Winter, it wants you to have all the answers. Summer, when you are in a phase of new, uncertain growth. Spring, it wants you to hold on forever. Summer, when it is time to gracefully let go. Autumn, this constant inner battle, this argument with the natural rhythm of your own being, is the source of so much exhaustion and frustration. Your impatience is a symptom of being out of sync. The alternative is to learn to dance. A masterful dancer does not impose their own rigid steps upon the music. They listen. They feel the rhythm, the tempo. They yield to the flow of the song. They become one with the music. To live in harmony with life is to become this kind of dancer. It means you learn to listen inwardly to your own energy. Instead of forcing yourself to follow a rigid plan made by your logical mind, you ask your being, what is needed now? What season am I in? Do you feel a quiet inward pull? Then honor your need for winter. Rest, reflect, do nothing. Do you feel a bubbling creative energy? Then honor your spring. Start something new. Play, experiment. Do you feel a strong outward-focused power? Then honor your summer. Take bold action. Engage fully with the world. Do you feel a sense of completion? A desire for quiet and release? Then honor your autumn. Let go. Clean house, both literally and metaphorically. Think of life as a grand symphony. The ego wants to be a soloist, playing its own tune as loudly as possible, regardless of what the rest of the orchestra is doing. This creates a dreadful noise. The path of wisdom is to learn to listen to the entire orchestrate music of your body, your intuition, your circumstances, the world around you, and to blend your own instrument into that magnificent, harmonious whole. To do this, you can use nature as your greatest teacher. Go outside and simply observe. A tree is never in a hurry to bloom. A cloud is never in a hurry to cross the sky. The moon does not rush its phases. There is a deep, unshakable trust in the process. Everything unfolds in its perfect time, according to a silent, intelligent rhythm. By spending time in nature, you can begin to absorb this rhythm into your own being. You can learn the wisdom of patience, the grace of yielding, the trust in the unseen process. When you stop fighting the current of life, when you learn to feel and flow with its natural rhythms, a new quality of action begins to emerge within you. It is action that is not born of frantic effort or forceful striving. It is action that feels calm, centered, and surprisingly effortless, yet it is often far more powerful and effective than all your previous struggles. It is an action that arises from a place of deep alignment with the universal flow. This seemingly paradoxical state, this ability to achieve great things through yielding and non-forceful participation, has a name in the ancient schools of wisdom. It is the art of doing by not doing. It is the practice of Wu Wei. You are learning to dance to the rhythm of life, to move in harmony with the great cycles of the universe. As you become more attuned to this cosmic beat, you begin to discover a new way of acting in the world. It is an action that is not born from the frantic, striving ego, but from a place of deep stillness and trust. This graceful, effective, and seemingly effortless way of being has a name. It comes from the ancient wisdom of the Taoist sages. They called it Wu Wei. Wu Wei is often translated as non-action or non-doing, but this translation can be misleading. It does not mean to be passive, lazy, or inert. Wu Wei is the art of effortless action. It is the practice of acting in perfect alignment with the natural flow of things, so that your actions are as spontaneous, as powerful, and as unforced as the wind blowing or the river flowing to the sea. To understand Wu Wei, you must first understand its opposite, the state in which most of the modern world lives. Let us call it Wei Wu Wei. Forced, struggling, unnatural action. This is the way of the ego. The ego believes that the universe is a hostile or indifferent place, and that to get what you want, you must struggle against it. You must hustle, grind, and force things to happen through sheer willpower. This is the mentality of rowing a boat upstream. It involves immense effort, constant strain, and a feeling of perpetual battle. You can see it in the clenched jaws and tired eyes of people who are trying to control every outcome, to manage every detail, to bend reality to their will. This way of acting is born from a fundamental lack of trust in life. It is exhausting, inefficient, and it creates more tension than it resolves. It is the belief that you are a separate warrior who must conquer the world. Wu Wei is the way of the sage, the way of the watercourse. The sage understands that he is not separate from the universe, but a part of it. He does not see life as an adversary to be conquered, but as an intelligent partner to be danced with. Wu Wei is action that arises from stillness. Instead of immediately reacting to a situation with frantic thinking and analysis, the master of Wu Wei first becomes quiet. He listens, he waits, he allows the situation to reveal itself. He knows that the most powerful solutions do not come from the small, calculating, conscious mind, but from the vast, intuitive intelligence that can only be accessed in a state of inner silence. Action born from Wu Wei is guided by intuition. It is a quiet knowing, a gut feeling, a sense of rightness that arises from a place deeper than logic. It is the ability to feel the subtle currents of a situation and to act in harmony with them. This kind of action often feels spontaneous. It is not meticulously planned out. The right word appears at the right moment. An unexpected opportunity presents itself, and you simply walk through the open door. A solution to a complex problem arrives as a flash of insight while you are doing something else entirely. This is because when you are in a state of Wu Wei, you are no longer operating from your limited personal strength. You have aligned yourself with the immense power of the Tao, the universal flow, and it begins to act through you. You have become the rower who has turned his boat around to face downstream. You may still paddle gently to steer, but the great power of the river is doing most of the work for you. You move swiftly, effectively, and with a sense of grace and ease. The primary obstacle to living in a state of Wu Wei is the ego's fierce addiction to control. The ego believes that if it lets go of the oars, the boat will crash into the rocks. It cannot fathom the idea that the river itself is intelligent and has a destination. It believes that without its constant management, its tireless worrying, its meticulous planning, everything will fall into chaos. To practice Wu Wei is therefore a practice of radical trust. It is the courage to let go. It is the faith to believe that there is a higher intelligence at work in your life and that its plans may be far greater than your own. It is a willingness to be led, to be guided, to be a partner with the mystery rather than its master. This can feel terrifying to the ego, for the loss of control feels like a death. And in a way, it is. It is the death of the small, fearful, separate self, and the birth of a new identity that is one with the flow of all things. How can you begin to practice this in your life? You start by consciously choosing non-action when you are faced with a difficult problem or an important decision. The conditioned habit is to immediately start thinking, analyzing, and trying to figure it out. The way of Wu Wei is to do the opposite. You consciously create space. You say, I do not know the answer right now, and I am not going to force one. You turn the problem over to the greater intelligence of the universe, and then you let it go. You go for a long walk in nature. You listen to music. You play with your children. You take a nap. You get the chattering, analytical mind out of the way. You allow the soil of your mind to be fallow. And then, often when you least expect it, in a moment of relaxation and openness, the answer will surface. It will not be a product of laborious thought. It will be a gift of insight, arriving whole and complete. You have now journeyed far. You have learned to watch the architect of your cage, the ego. You have stepped out of the prison of time and into the sanctuary of the now. You have learned to feel your emotions without being consumed by them, to trust the rhythm of the seasons, and to act with the effortless power of the universal flow. You have peeled back layer after layer of false identification. You have let go of who you thought you were: the story, the thinker, the victim, the striver. And now, in this place of profound quiet, in this state of open, trusting presence, you are finally ready to realize the truth that has been waiting for you beneath it all. You are ready to receive the final incantation, not as a concept to be understood, but as a reality to be embodied. It is the secret that was hidden in plain sight from the very beginning. You are ready to know, in the very core of your being, the unshakable, liberating, and creative power of the two most important words you will ever claim as your own: I am. We have traveled a great distance together on this inner journey. We have stood before the architect of the cage and seen that it was our own mind. We have slipped the bonds of psychological time and found refuge in the now. We have learned to ride the waves of emotion, to trust the rhythm of life, and to act with the effortless grace of the universal flow. Every step has been a shedding, a letting go of a false identity. You have let go of the story of your past, the anxiety for your future, the need for approval, the illusion of separation. You have become quieter, clearer, more present. And now, standing here in this open, silent space you have cultivated within yourself, you are ready. You are ready for the final revelation. You are ready to receive the incantation that was promised at the beginning of our journey. But it is not a magic phrase to be chanted. It is not a concept to be memorized. It is a truth to be realized. It is the secret that was never a secret, the answer that was hidden in the heart of the questioner all along. The most fundamental question of a human life is simply this: who am I? Your entire life has been a quest to answer this question. The ego has provided you with a long list of answers, a collection of labels that you have mistaken for yourself. It told you, I am my name. But your name was given to you. It is a sound, a convenience. It is not you. It told you, I am this body. But you have observed your body change over the years. Cells die and are replaced. The body you have today is not the body you had as a child. The body is a precious vessel, a temporary vehicle, but it is not the essence of who you are. The ego then told you, I am my mind. I am my personality, my thoughts, my memories. But you have learned to watch your thoughts. You have seen them come and go like clouds in the sky. If you can observe them, you cannot be them. Who is the observer? You were told you were your profession, your role in your family, your accomplishments, your failures. I am a doctor. I am a parent. I am a success. I am a failure. All of these are temporary roles, experiences that happen to you, stories that are written upon you. They are not the essence of you. So you have shed all of these labels. You have seen that you are not your name, not your body, not your mind, not your story. A great stripping away has occurred. And now, in the quiet emptiness, the question arises again, with even greater urgency. Who am I? Here is the answer. It is the simplest and most profound truth in the universe. Before you were a name, before you were a body, before you had a single thought or memory, you were. Before any story was written, you existed. The answer to who am I is not a noun. It is a declaration of pure existence. The final, sacred incantation is 2 words. I am. That is it. That is the whole of it. Feel the power of these 2 words. They are the most sacred vibration you can ever embody. I speaks of the individual, the point of light, the unique window through which the universe experiences itself. Am speaks of being itself, God, source, the nameless, formless, eternal ocean of consciousness. The statement, I am, is the wave recognizing that its very substance is the ocean. It is the point where the finite self realizes its infinite nature. It is the union of the personal and the universal. This realization is enlightenment. This is self-knowledge. This is the peace that passes all understanding. Your true identity is not something you need to achieve, to build, or to earn. You only need to recognize it. It is the background of your entire life. It is the screen upon which the movie of your life is playing. It is the silent, aware space in which every thought, every feeling, every experience has arisen and passed away. Your experiences have changed constantly, but the I am presence that was aware of them has never changed. It was there when you were 5 years old, and it is here now. It is the only constant in your life. It is your true home. Of course, the ego, the mind, cannot tolerate this. The formless nature of I am is terrifying to it. The ego's entire existence depends on form, on definition, on labels. The moment you rest in the pure, naked awareness of I am, the ego rushes in to try and complete the sentence. It desperately needs to add a label. I am good. I am spiritual. I am tired. I am a failure. It will cling to any definition, positive or negative, rather than remain in the undefined mystery of pure being. Your final practice is to resist this temptation. It is to let the statement hang in the air, complete in itself. Rest in the awareness of I am. Do not attach any story to it. Feel the freedom, the spaciousness, the peace of being undefined. You can access this state at any moment. This is the practical application. Right now, as you listen, you can stop focusing on these words and turn your attention inward. You can feel the subtle aliveness in your body. Can you feel the energy in your hands without thinking about them? Can you feel the sensation of your feet on the floor? Can you feel the gentle rhythm of your own breathing? This silent, non-verbal background sensation of being alive is the feeling of I am. It is not a thought. It is a direct experience. It is the simple, miraculous knowledge that you exist. Rest in that feeling. It is your anchor. It is your truth. It is the source of all peace and power. Let us use one final metaphor. Your life is a story written on a piece of paper. The story has chapters of joy and chapters of tragedy. It has characters you love and villains you despise. The ink tells tales of success and failure, of love and loss. You have spent your whole life identified with the ink, believing you are the words on the page. But the great awakening is the realization that you are not the ink, you are the paper. The paper is the background upon which the entire story is written. The most tragic story does not damage the paper. The most joyful story does not change the paper's fundamental nature. The paper is always pristine, always untouched by the story written upon it. Your I am presence, your pure awareness, is that paper. It is the silent, untouched witness to your entire life's journey. This realization is not the end of your journey. It is the true beginning. You have awakened from the dream that you are the character in the story. Now, the adventure is to learn to live your life from this awakened perspective. The goal is not to escape the world, but to bring the light of this presence, this I am awareness, into every moment, every interaction, every breath. This is the ultimate purpose of your life. To be a conscious embodiment of the timeless, formless being that you are, here and now, in this beautiful, temporary form. And so, our journey of words comes to a close. But your true journey, the journey of living from this newfound awareness, is just beginning. We set out to find an incantation to dissolve your suffering, a way to quiet the storm within. We walked through the architecture of the mind, we faced the phantoms of time, we learned to ride the waves of emotion, and we reclaimed the power that was always yours. But the path was not one of acquiring new knowledge, but of shedding old illusions. You have not added anything to yourself. You have simply stripped away all that you are not, to reveal the magnificent truth of what you have always been. You came here perhaps feeling like a person lost in a dark forest, searching for a distant light to guide you home. The final truth is this: you were never the person lost in the dark. You were the fire. Your suffering, your confusion, your deep dissatisfaction with a life that felt too small, it was all just dry wood piled at your feet. It was the necessary fuel for the flame of your own consciousness to finally ignite, to burn away the fog of illusion and to reveal the landscape in its true light. The pain was not a punishment, it was a grace. It was the catalyst for your own awakening. The incantation you sought was not a phrase to be repeated. It was the realization of the silent, aware space from which all phrases are born. The true mantra is the stillness behind the noise. The true power is the presence that witnesses the passing show of your life. The ultimate freedom is to rest in the simple, unshakable reality of your own being, the timeless and formless. I am that is your one true nature. Do not look outside of yourself for answers or for power ever again. The guru you were seeking is the silence within you. The love you were craving is the love that radiates from your own open heart. The peace you were searching for is the stillness of your own presence. This journey did not give you anything you did not already possess. It has only, perhaps, held up a mirror so you could finally see the true face of your own soul. The universe is not listening to your words, it is responding to the vibration of who you are. So go now, from this place of quiet knowing. Live this truth, embody this peace. Walk through your world not as a seeker, but as a presence. Let your actions arise from the stillness. Let your words be carried on the breath of compassion. Let the light of your awareness be the gift you silently offer to every person you meet and every situation you encounter. The storm has passed. The sky is clear. Your journey begins now. Go and be what you are. Silently, powerfully, peacefully.